talk real quick. Testing.
Okay. All right.
2
Tell me that'll
going. Test.
Yeah.
All right, we got echo. Advanced property. Let's add a filter to my mic. That way I'm not catching all your noise.
All right.
Perfect. Keep talking.
Yeah. Actually, I'm looking for the video on a separate device. So I guess I should do it, right? But I don't see any. Oh wait, that's Underworlds. Never mind.
Try again.
Okay, let me tell. Or actually, I'm looking for the video, but I cannot see it anywhere.
Where
Should it be?
echo? Test,
Oh,
test,
there it
test,
is.
test, test,
Yeah,
test,
I
test,
see it
test.
now.
Still a little bit of echo.
I think that should do it. I don't know how that looks. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the right threshold so we can hear both of us.
Sure.
For a headset.
Sure. I guess now I see you there, but well, obviously I can hear it.
I'm gonna just add you as a picture. It's gonna be a shot of you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. You got.
Oh,
There
here
you are.
you are.
Yeah.
See yourself.
Okay. Right. I see it's on. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, good.
All right. Well,
Playing Warhammer Underworlds is the name.
I'll change that real quick.
All right. Let's send this link.
I gotta go to YouTube first.
Yep.
My channel. And on the video.
Yep.
Anthony. What's going on, man? Gotta change this. We are playing Warhammer Underworlds. Talking about Khorne. Live
That's right.
Khorne post slaves to darkness. We are talking about our favorite blood god.
Yep.
If you refresh the page, it should show.
Yeah, that's right.
Now it works.
Worlds, it should be yes. Khorne post slaves to darkness. There you go.
All
the state
right.
of Khorne is always the same. We the best. Yes, the blood god is very positive.
The blood's flowing.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well,
okay.
Before we start,
yeah, go on.
Because most of this is like list, and unit talk. So,
Yep.
I guess before we start, is there anything? I don't know. What are you? Let's take the Warhammer Weekly Report approach.
Okay.
And I'll ask you, what have you been working on lately as far as hobbying goes? Oh,
right. Actually, I'm actually working on some bases for commissioning a few lava bases because I've made this OSL lava base and it actually kind of blew up online. So there's quite a few people asking for a commission. So I'm making an Archaon hot plate along with 3 more for his Vanguard, and I'm sending them over to your side, actually, the States.
Oh wow!
So
you got some pictures.
What?
You have some pictures of your bases. I can put them on the stream and show people what
Right
you've been doing.
I've only that one I can send it to you, so you can throw it up there. Sure.
Throw it right into Discord, Constantine. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is Konstantinos. I think you nickname is.
Yeah, Dinos. Actually, everybody's calling me Dinos over here because I live in Sweden. I'm Greek,
Yeah.
but it's weirdly enough, Konstantinos is quite tough for Swedish, even though they have three words that work: konstant in os. They just do it all the same. But it doesn't matter. Dinos works.
All
So
right.
let's
Oh yeah.
see.
And
Uh,
I don't know if any of you know this. Google Hangouts no longer functions for easy live stream. So I've got on Discord, and I haven't quite figured out how to show two people at the same time through OBS. So I've just got his photograph up there. I can see him live, and he's going to send me some pictures of lava bases so I can show them on screen.
There. I'm sending you this one, which is the one I posted on Reddit and on different places. And the one I'm making right now is actually, it's funny. I put it on Fiverr, which is, some people mentioned it. I should put it up on Fiverr, which is basically a commission site. So there's this guy that asked me, can you make this base for me? And he shows me my Archaon base, my own Archaon base that I posted online, which was hilarious because I
So
said, yeah, I can do it. I've done it before, specifically, literally this one.
you're on Fiverr.
So, yeah, I'm on Fiverr. I'm not taking any commissions right now because I have quite a few that I have to make and be done with before. So I paused my Fiverr account, which is actually a thing you can do. You can pause, say no more, like no getting more stuff
Trying to get
until
your
you unpause.
base.
And you see it?
I'm moving anything. Not quite good at size.
Yep.
Back. Then we'll move. This is one of the lava bases you're talking about. Got it on screen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's the one.
looking pretty.
Oh yeah, it's actually worked pretty fine. I'm
And
quite happy with the rest as well.
how much do those run? Depending on
This
average.
one, I actually made this one and I sold it for, if it's in dollars, about $50. And this is a Manticore Lord or a Bloodthirster one. And I buy the base and the basic material and that resin that I use for the lava, so it's a bit smoother and all that. Yeah, that's how much it goes.
Well,
Which I think
I've been thinking about commissioning you because, like, while I am a commission painter as well, it's it's time, and I only have so much time. So right now I'm
yeah,
working on some 50 Star Wars Legion droids, and I think I had a picture of that I sent to you. I'll show that to chat now.
yeah.
That guy up, and like you said, it's like your Fiverr account is on pause.
Yeah. I got quite a big commission from the United Kingdom, and it's for a whole OBR army, and
You're
that
painting.
is a lot of bases.
You're
Just
painting an
bases, just the
entire
bases,
OBR army.
just the bases.
Okay, all right. You're doing the bases for some, obviously 40,
Yeah.
40 guard, right?
No, actually, it's a cavalry
All right.
army, which is lucky me, I guess.
So here is the. Wow, these things explode size when I.
All right.
But this is the General
All right.
Grievous I'm working on for the
All right,
Star
sure.
Wars Commission.
Right. There's the guy. Yeah, that's General Grievous. I love his face. I love the OSL touches that you've done, and because it's super. Actually, what sizes are those? Are they 28s?
25s. So he's on
25,
25
yeah.
mil base. He's pretty small. You'd think that he's larger. Hey, Huey, and re-rolling ones, Jack.
Yeah. We have royalty in the chat room there.
Yeah,
Hey,
Jack
Jack.
actually played me at last year at Nova with his shoot
Yeah.
cast, and it was a
Okay.
great
Oh,
practice
right.
game. He kicked my butt,
Yeah, of course he did.
and
I've heard him brag about it. I remember him talking to Doug from Two Plus Stuff about that tournament. I think.
kicked my
Yeah.
butt. But it was great practice because it allowed me to beat Lincoln. Because I had to face another. Um, he was playing a very long range artillery style shooting list with
Yeah.
lots of Stormcast. It's like one of the last bastions that Stormcast has. They're only good if you play them this way. At least that's how it feels.
Yeah.
But
Well, until at least the FAQ, the winter FAQ, where shootcast don't no longer shooting the hero phase, I think, or they no longer are not. They haven't moved or something like that. I'll go grab my phone and be right back.
okay. But anyway, he crushed me. I don't know. It was a solid game. He beat me pretty bad, but it wasn't like an obliteration. Uh, and it allowed me to realize, okay, what do I have to do against an artillery list?
Yeah.
And it helped me defeat Lincoln
Mm-hmm.
in round 3,
Okay.
and Lincoln
There you go.
tabled me.
Oh,
Uh,
and still
and
that didn't work for him.
I still won. I won by 1 point because I just kept bringing back Scar Bloodwrath and summoning Fleshhounds and taking objectives. And he tabled me. I still beat him. Had I played like I played against Lincoln, where I just went all in and didn't worry too much about his shooting, they don't receive the bonuses for not moving. Okay.
Yeah.
But they're still
Which,
good,
yeah.
Jack. I don't think they should have nerfed him further, but they're still good. Anyway,
Well, they gave him some cavalry now. Their cavalry's a bit better, I think.
yeah, I think the
They got theirs.
Fulminators.
So they got a little cheaper. I don't know. I've actually never played Stormcast. Thing is, I started playing the game when Shadespire came out. I hadn't played any Warhammer before that. I knew the game, I'd never played it. I was more of a D&D guy. And my brother said, here's this game. And he wanted to play Stormcast. So the other guys were the Blood Reavers, Garrick's Reavers, and I started playing that. And I read the little lore, and I'm like, oh, I like this Blood God. So that's how that happened. And then 2.5 years in and lots of money down, here we are. I actually sent you the base that I'm working on right now. I just primed it. And after taking a shot of it in the light, I realized I haven't done the best job at priming because I didn't have my lamp with me, and I'm wearing a mask now because I had some issues with the airbrush, the whole particles in the air. So that's how the Archaon base looks right now. And I have to reprime it if you want to throw it. If you want to throw it on the
You sent me a picture?
screen there.
Sure. So
Yeah, I sent you.
This is the new You sold your Archaon. This is the new Archaon base.
This is the hot biplate that I'm making for this guy's Archaon, and it's just been primed. A little bit of Panzer Gray and some Ghost Gray for the lava and the resin.
All right, let me get that on the screen. 1 second.
Yeah, throw that in there.
Get up on screen. Boom.
Yeah.
So this is the new base you're working on. So what's going on here again?
Step 2, after just building some resin and some. There you go. Yep. That's the Archaon plate. So basically, this guy asked me if I can make my old base again. So I'm revisiting, and this is just some wall filler, cork, a little bit of cat's hand, not used, some resin for the lava. It's basically glue, actually. It's resin-based glue.
So it's like epoxy glue that you're squirting on there.
Yeah, I actually used that for one of my old Trogoths. I made Trogos, and he came out too dark. So I said I should make a little bit of a OSL on the base, so he's dark because he's in darkness. And I used that glue that's for boots, and I said, well, you know what? This actually it solidifies very, very nicely, and it worked great for lava. So I've been using it ever since. But
Well,
this thing is going to get more primed, and then I'm just going to start. All that half is going to be lava, and he's going to be basically the little wall thing that where he's standing on, or the side of Dorgar. It's between the two shields, and then the tail will be behind the in front of the head. So
awesome.
there's a few banners standing up. I just the side where I took the picture, you cannot see the banner, and there's some skulls and things like that.
It looks. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to put a link. Oh, quick question: how many unpainted models does it take you to stop buying more models until you've caught up on painting? Anthony,
I mean,
I'm gonna go first here. I don't buy. I haven't bought models in months because I have so many unpainted models, and I bought a house, so I've got a lot of stuff that I already have to paint
yeah.
that I just have to get to. So I have a massive backlog like everyone else. So what does it take to keep you from buying models? I would say buy a house or have a child, and you'll stop buying models for a while.
Pretty much. Yeah, I agree 100%. What he said, basically, I had the idea of starting to write down what I got, and I started selling stuff instead of buying stuff. So that helped. Having said all that, I did buy the half of the Ether War for my KO, which I still haven't painted. They're just sitting there. But at some point, you realize that you should stop buying models or focus on an army, something like that. I don't know, man. If there was an answer, there would be people with more money in their pockets.
Yeah,
So, analyzation, I guess, that's the answer.
prioritization. I think that's the key. I love models, and I will continue to buy frivolous models that I don't need because they're so cool. And I love paint. Right now, I mean, I'm painting all these droids from Star Wars, and then after that, my next commission is
Yeah, that's
Big Trouble in Little China, the board game. It's 40 miniatures from that game. It's mostly time that's keeping me from buying models because they get less expensive over time. So if I don't buy them, I actually save money.
How's the ultimate model by Python wargaming? Yep, that's true.
The other rule I have.
Actually, I don't know if you've seen it. I sent you one more picture in the previous base. So
Okay.
that's the end goal. Even though I think I've got better in OSL by now, so the lava in this new one is going to look better. But basically, this guy asked, just do this. He's literally sent me my picture, which I posted on Reddit a few months ago, and said, "Can you make this?" I said, "Actually, I can. I've made it before."
So
I was very happy about that.
This is the ultimate goal for that last model you showed us.
Yeah. Well, this would be the baseline. I can do better than this. That's what I'm thinking.
But that's what your client wants.
Also, this one, yeah, that's what my client wanted. If you see, there is a little banner there with the skulls that haven't been painted yet, or OSL'd, because it's bone white. So I've worked on this one a little more, and that's what he wanted, and that's what he's getting. And I'm gonna do some Vanguard bases as well. So this Archaon, my Archaon on this base won Best Painted in Armies on Parade, which
a picture of your Archaon?
Yeah, of course, I can set it on.
You see the base. If this thing won Best Painted, people want to see it. And this is, again, folks, this is the Archaon we're going to be talking about that has been used in the list we're talking about later.
That's the game. I'll find it. You can go on and I'll find it. I'll send you one from there, from the Armies on Parade. It was fun because on Armies on Parade I had my orcs, which were painted at my best, I guess, and that was just Archaon, and I had them on that airbrush thing that goes around. Actually, that thing in the picture is a thing that goes around, so you could turn the diorama around, and depending on which side you saw it, it would either say "Duff up the biggest thing," which was the orcs versus Archaon, or it was called one man army, which is Archaon versus the orcs, and that was pretty fun.
Do you have a picture of it?
I will send it to you shortly.
Okay. Then I'll put that on screen. Also, on a side note,
there it is.
you can actually see that I have this mega backlog of of Dark Souls models back there. I've been painting Dark Souls models. Got plenty of pictures. I don't necessarily need to show them off because I want to get started on this. Talking about things so that way people could come in and be a part of the stream. Unfortunately, this is just Archaon from the back. But do you have a picture of him from the front?
Yeah, we'll find it shortly.
Here's on the display board. And you said the part he was on rotated?
Yeah, the whole diorama was rotating.
Oh, because it was Archaon versus the orcs.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. I was pretty sweet deal. It was very nice. I was very happy about it. Came out. It's Gothenburg, by the way. It's second city of Sweden, second biggest city. There were quite a few sweet ones. But that day was a big 2-day tournament. That was Saturday of a weekend. There was a big tournament going on. So it was sad that there were quite a few people missing. And there is a sweet Gloomspite Gitz army over here that I really, really like. And that was a good one. Still feel I was very happy with how Archaon looked. So let me find, there is one more. This one and then one. So here's what the diorama looked. So there you go. I send you 3. You can throw them up there.
I'll find the best one. That one we.
Yeah.
There's a good one. This is what I'm looking for. Property.
And you see, I really like monochromatic bases with a little splash of color, and that was the diorama itself. It was basically, yeah, there it is. So there was
just this little. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sneeze. Get myself.
Yeah.
All right.
Bless you.
That's the full diorama.
I don't know if you can notice. Yeah, that's the full diorama. And if you can notice the mega boss down there, and he's holding Carnage from Scarbrand.
Oh.
And you can see there that the mega boss on Mokrasha is holding Slaughter, and the mega boss is having a Bloodthirster's head on a pike. So they're demon hunters.
Oh, Anthony wants to know, how long did that take you? Why don't you answer that in 2 parts? Archaon, and then the display base, not the model. So Archaon separately.
Okay. Archaon took me 5 audiobooks, so that would be about 38 hours, something like that, 40 hours. And the diorama itself was broken down into about 2 weeks. Not too much. It's not that big a deal. If you have an airbrush, it's not that hard. Took about a week.
Foam with putty over it?
It's foam, and then there's wall filler over it. And then a little bit of Vallejo red paste, but it's all been primed. So, yeah, that's about it.
And what do you use an airbrush, right? To paint?
Yeah, I do use an airbrush.
Yeah.
So that orange is basically airbrush, and a little bit of dry brushing with not dry rust because there's no No reason to do that. You just add some orange.
Right.
It's been a while. I don't really remember how I did it, but it's my first. It's my first diorama ever. So I was actually pretty happy with that one.
That came out really good. I actually made my first diorama.
Yeah, go ahead.
And go figure, this took me 3 hours to. So
Okay.
you might be thinking, wow, 3 hours, this is going to look like garbage. But I'll tell you right now, this thing looked awesome.
Go ahead.
Second. On screen. And this. Oh, it's too blurry. One second. Let me read.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one from the tournament, right?
Yeah, let me re-download that. It looks a little silly right now.
It works in your favor because it's a little bit blurry, so you can see nice glaze over the lava because of the the low.
Whoa! All right, this, as you folks can tell, this is a much higher resolution. I gotta tone it down.
Okay, oh boy.
I wonder if I can just like.
I don't think so.
I wonder if there's a way to like just like automatically set the size, transform, fit to screen.
Until you find it, rerolling once, Jack. He says that Scar Bloodwrath is undervalued.
He is.
You are preaching to the choir, my friend, because Joshua he could marry that guy if you could. Like,
see that?
Definitely. Yep.
Got a diamond ring in this photograph right there. Can't see it because it's not a large enough picture, but I did ask Scar Bloodwrath to marry.
There you go. I love how Bellator is outside. He's sitting on the outside because he's in shadows, and always he does his thing.
I think I just lost the image. I don't know what I did. I'll just add a new one. I'm not good at this yet.
It's all good. We are better at other things, I guess. Hopefully.
We're better at making bases.
Yeah.
Transform. Fit to screen. Oh, there we go. So this is my display board from Golden Sprue Cup. This was actually my army from Golden Sprue Cup. And that tournament was a blast, but that display board took me two to 3 hours to make. Yeah. All I did was take poster board from Craft Store, and then I cut 2 pieces of poster board to make a channel, and I just glued the pieces of poster board on top of each other. Then I spread like you do, so I spread like a texture on poster board, and I smeared it along the edges of the lava channel. I kept the lava channel very flat, because lava actually in real life it's relatively flat outside of like the different hot and cold areas, but I figured I would paint the hot and cold areas directly onto the lava to give the illusion of texture. And I stole Dino's method for painting lava. I made my lava a little bit cooler. It's much hotter.
Oh, I like it.
Much brighter, but I didn't want it quite that bright. So anyway,
it works with the rest of your army because they have their color, the lighting on them. That actually works fine. No wonder. What did you get with that? Did you get 3rd place or 2nd place?
With this army, I got 6th. I should have been in the top, but I made, it was a combination of a single error that I made along with my opponent rolling a 12 on the charge. So,
oh man,
I
want to go to your list. Let's jump in there.
Yeah, let's go straight to talking about.
So this is Golden Sprue, right? Sorry.
This was Golden Sprue. So yeah, let's jump in. I think we've got enough people in chat here. We got 9 watching. Let's jump into the lists. So the first one, So this is actually that list that you saw earlier. This is my list from Golden Sprue, and I built this right after Slaves to Darkness released because for a long time you were not able to fit Be'lakor into a list because it was not able to be allied in. But now that they've made Be'lakor part of Slaves to Darkness, um,
Mhm.
I was able to ally him in for once, and he's like one of my favorite characters in lore. So as not only is he one of my favorite characters in lore, he has a super relevant ability when it comes to uh, playing mortals because mortals in Khorne are very slow and they need a way to reduce the speed of your enemy's army or like stagger your enemy's army.
Yeah.
So not only is Be'lakor like key for a mortal style list like this, so is the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince because he stops your opponent from charging effectively with command ability. So Be'lakor
Mhm.
and his I forget the name of it. His war scroll on my phone here.
What are you looking for? The five
His
up thing.
his ability that stuns everybody if they don't roll a 5+.
Right. Let me see. Be'lakor, not Shadow, the Dark Master.
Yes, the Dark Master is excellent ability.
Yep.
You can let me chat make sure that isn't asking me.
You're just getting kudos for your 3 hour diorama, which is totally deserved. Um,
Oh, there we go. Great. So anyway, Horn Mortals are pretty slow. They need to be able to move forward for one turn and then attack the next turn, and you really don't want to get hit first because you lose all sorts of value. So you've got to
yep.
have your Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince. Uh, he'll stunt their charges, so you're going to want to measure out distance from your enemy and
Yep.
that command ability, and make sure you're the right distance where they can't possibly get to you, unless maybe they
Mm.
roll a 12. You know, who knows? In one game. And then you've got your Slaves to Darkness Be'lakor, which
Yep.
is his the Dark Master ability is absolutely insane. Like especially against armies that have uh massive swaths of units. So typically you'll see like an army where they'll screen the front of their army with one unit and they'll press
Yep.
forward with that single massive unit in the front. And you see that a lot in, for example, goodness, what's the name? Fire Slayers does it. You see it a lot in Witch Elves. The
Yep.
Daughters of Cain will do it. Lots of armies. Skaven, they have this massive screen in front of their whole army. And so at the
You guys need
beginning of,
more
go ahead.
as well. More to guard.
Yeah, Mortec Guard's another example. But what you do is typically you want to go first. Uh, And Be'lakor
Uh,
allows you to
yep.
kind of control the turn order a little bit because at the beginning of your opponent's turn, you say, all right, well, that unit is nullified. And typically you'll choose a unit that will hinder your opponent's movement. So I'll pick, uh, yeah, the Harrower. It's eight jobs. Um,
It's yeah.
so you'll pick that screening unit at the beginning of their turn.
Mhm.
Um, if you're going first, and typically they give you turn one because your army's so slow, it's never going to reach. They just want you to waste your, which is fine. So you pick that major screening unit in the front, or any key unit if there's none of that going on. And on turn one, they start their turn. Typically, they can't move, and their whole army is stuck behind this giant screen, and they just can't really do anything with their army for a full turn. And if they decide to take the second turn, that unit is still impacted by the Dark Master. So
Mhm.
the second turn that they take, they run the risk of having that massive screen holding their entire army back a second time, which
Yeah. You
is,
mean a double one, right? If they get a double.
yeah, if they decide to take it. So like it doesn't matter if you win or they win. Like
Yeah,
it's
I get it. Because it's until your next hero phase. So
Right.
Uh,
So if I roll it, I might just give them the next turn and just
Makes
say,
sense.
"Yeah, go ahead and take it. You're stuck for 2 turns. I got stuck for one."
I wonder if it would work against horrors in change host specifically, because it says they cannot move, but I guess teleport is not considered a move. They bypass that.
It will not work
Uh,
in that particular
yeah.
case. So, I mean, I haven't played Zinch at all since they've been released. I just haven't had the chance. I know that they're very
Mhm.
powerful, and based on what they read, they don't sound fun to play at all. So,
We'll talk about
pre
it when I
FAQ,
came up on.
I would say pre FAQ, I didn't even worry about playing them because it's effectively an auto loss pre FAQ.
It
You
makes
try your
sense.
best, but they just their stuff was so good that it really doesn't matter what you. Yes, you're right. Any like teleporting shenanigans are going to circumvent Bellacor's ability to do that stuff. Um, if, for example, there was a unit that needed to shoot you, Be'lakor, like to
Mhm.
do lots of damage, Be'lakor would be quite good in that case. So you could, if I don't know how the Zeech lists are fully constructed at the moment because FAQ, but if there was for example, one unit that was meant to teleport forward and attack you, you could theoretically choose that unit and stop them from being able to.
True. I guess flamers with that because now they have one teleport and six flamers can basically destroy anything. I don't think there's anything that would withstand them. But anyway, going back to your list, like we said, it's 8 drops and Gore Pilgrims, and Gore Pilgrims will be quite the theme of the day.
Yeah, Gore Pilgrims is just so good as a battalion, not necessarily because of the abilities, but because one, it's a battalion, two, it has no tax units, three, it's not that
No,
expensive, and you need a battalion to
yep,
gain that extra artifact. In this
yeah,
case, the key artifact here is Sword of Judgment on the Demon Prince. Sword of Judgment is just too good. Like Demon
it
Prince,
is too good, and
yeah,
especially in Khorne where the Demon Prince gets. Oh, he always first of all the Demon Prince always gets +1 when they charge,
right.
so that's most of the times, and that's a 5 up D6 mortal wounds. And the thing is, apart from Gore Pilgrims, the theme of the day is Reapers of Vengeance, which is
Yeah.
core Petrifex. I mean, if you go on and check how many people use Reapers in core, I would say, with estimate that is not very optimistic, more than 70%.
Yeah, I think
I
in
would.
the corn book is at this point becoming a little bit antiquated, and the Reapers of Vengeance Slaughterhost be the last. Um, I think that's the last real competitive option you have for corn. You can play other stuff, and it's fun, and you can kill people, and you can do well. But I think to get to 4-1 and 5-0 in a five
Yeah,
round tournament, you Vengeance is pretty much settled.
you go on that double pylon, and the best anti-magic artifact in the game. 2 up Skull Shard Mantle. You put it on your Blood Secretor. You keep him in cover behind the Skull Altar is always a good choice. So there he's not able to be seen. So you have something that has a 2 up shrug, a spell shrug, and you always have a nice terrain feature where you sit him behind and no shooting can see him, and you're golden. Plus, he has a 3 up, which goes to 2 up because he's next to the skull altar. You put him on the staircase, you're done.
So Anthony had a question.
He's
Did the
on.
change to Wrathmongers make them good now, or question mark? Wrathmongers have always been
You know
good.
what?
It just need to play
Yeah,
them properly. They're very cost
yeah.
effective. It's just that they did get a nerf for um they don't buff shooting anymore, which is a bummer because built in a lot better with them. But
Oh yeah,
they're quite good, especially with Scar Blood Wrath, who allows them to attack you.
yeah. That's what I was going to say. If you have Scar, they double pile in when they die, I guess, or do they turn into Blood Warriors?
They turn into Blood Warrior.
Yeah. So that is always good because they have rend and they get to get pluses to hit when they charge, and they are actually quite fast. And they have
Oh no,
3 hit
there's only
points.
5 moves.
So yeah, but they do get the plus to run the charge, don't they? I think
No,
it's been a while.
no, they don't. They don't get anything. So the big thing here is Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers quite a bit of.
That's true. But may I just say to our so many people are overlooking what SD brings to Khorne? That's what we're talking about today. We're getting there. It's
Yep,
post Slaves to Darkness
you're
book,
gonna see
and
more
you're
lists that
absolutely right.
involve or
There's,
Slave
yeah,
Darkness.
there's a lot of good things here. And so Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince of Khorne, he has a baller command ability where you have the charge and the run, and that is really good. I don't know if you have the chance to use it in those games. If it worked for you, it did really work for me. So go on.
Anyway, Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince is really it makes this list work along
Yep.
with Bellicor because it stunts your opponent's move so much. Uh,
First of all, he fights at the start of the combat phase, which is great for something that is an assassin. So in Reapers, you have a double pile-in, sometimes within 24 inches of the Bloodthirster, which is not terribly uncommon. So that is 10 attacks, fishing for fives or even fours with Killing Frenzy. And that's a 4-up d6 mortal wounds on 10 attacks. And then there's the Malefic Talons. So I've used the Demon Prince a lot for the past few months, and he moves 12. That is amazing. You move him 12, you have already used the command ability, so he makes everything around him not being able to charge him. Like even in 3 inches, they need a 6-up. It's not that easy. Sometimes you go for a 7 and you miss it, but if you keep him like 6 inches away, he's basically not cannot be a target. And then you move 12 more, and suddenly you are in the back line. I've used it so many times. I've cleaned up a Hollow Heart list just by doing that, kept him on the side behind a terrain feature, and then was my turn, and he moved 12 and charged 5 or something. Double piled in, cleaned up the General, the Griffin, and the Luminarch, and a Battle Mage, and that was round turn 2, top of turn 2, and the game was done pretty much because without their wizards, what else is there? After that, it was chess. We were just uh, changing pieces. So Demon Prince MVP so many times.
yeah, Demon Prince is so good. He effectively any melee army that you're facing against, he effectively halts them in their tracks. Again, especially against armies like Daughters of Cain or orcs. Um, as long as they're not real shooting oriented armies,
No,
he becomes extremely powerful. If they are shooting oriented armies, this list wants to just push as many units forward and be as aggressive as possible. And the great thing
no,
about this list is it's not hero dependent.
no.
Certainly Bellicor helps. And the other thing about Dark Master is post FAQ, even if Bellicor dies, you can still use the Dark Master. Um,
Which is amazing.
yeah, which prior to FAQ you could not. So you really wanted to use his ability very early, just in case you were about him dying. Um,
Yeah.
but again, against a shooting style range list, you want to be as aggressive as possible. There's a ton of threats in this list between the Demon Prince, the Skull Reapers, the Wrathmongers, Bellicor,
Yeah.
Scar, Bloodwrath. They're all very threatening. When
Mm-hmm.
combined, they just deal massive amounts of damage. Um,
Yeah.
and you just got to get in there against a shooting list. Against melee lists, this this thing was nigh unstoppable. Like I
So
only
what do you mean on Golden Sprue? What was the melee list that you faced and it worked?
uh, okay, so I lost 2 games to melee list, and
Okay.
the first one I lost was to Fire Slayers on Duality of Death, and all they did was sit on the objectives. I tabled my opponent, just tabled him, but he still won. So this list tabled Fire Slayers. Like that's pretty good to me. Um,
That is, yeah.
then The other list I lost against was a heck is it called? The Frost Lord on Stonehorn. What are those units called again?
More tribes, more
It
tribes,
was Maw tribes, but it was
beast
specifically
raiders,
Beast Claw Raiders.
beast claw.
And what happened was my opponent made a long bomb 12-inch charge with his Thunder Tusk, smashed into a screen of Blood Reavers, and then outside of 3 of my Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince, so I could not attack first, he piled into the Demon Prince and killed him. And it cost me the game. And he would not have gotten that charge unless he rolled a 12. So I was just, I threw my hands up. I just said,
mean,
"Oh well, it's my fault. I
well,
should have
that's
played
love.
more. I should have spent points on his command ability. Did I play Daughters of Cain or Orcs? I played Orcs. This list crushed Orcs. It was no problem because a lot of the units like Wrathmongers attack back on death or attack first, like the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince, and Be'lakor
Yeah.
stops their units in their tracks. So like I pick a unit and that unit can't do anything. So if you've got like a large swath of Ardboys in the front of your army pushing forward, all your other units are stuck behind those Ardboys. Like Be'lakor says, "Yeah, you can't go anywhere." Or maybe you've got some large units of pigs. I can stop your pigs from.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I do play orcs, I do have Iron Jaw. I have an Iron Jaw's army. I was thinking about it and was thinking, what should I bring? And it's truly that I think Khorne, when played well, can outbeat Iron Jaws. Because here's the thing about Khorne. Here's what I wanted to mention because I formulated in my mind. I think that's the best. Khorne is an amazing army. Khorne is super fun when you play as an amateur against other amateurs, and it's also super fun to play as a pro against other pros.
there's a
Not too many armies can say that.
high learning curve, but
Yeah,
you can learn quite a bit playing.
yeah. And I think that there are some armies where you're going to have a bad matchup, but that makes sense. Everybody has that, and that should be the case. But I mean, thematically, they messed up. They definitely messed up thematically. Khorne should not play it the way they do.
How so?
But if you like strategizing, because it's a fully synergistic strategizing, heroes moving pieces. It's like I'm like Alexander the Great, flanking and doing stuff. That is not what I had in mind when I first started reading about Khorne. It's more like how Iron Jaws play: move forward, clean up, kill everything. If you die, oh well, that's fun. Blood for the blood god. That's not Khorne, and I'm very happy about that. To tell you the truth, because I love the way Khorne plays in the hero phase.
But
I mean,
even in the
yeah,
stories, like Korn is not just about like being stupid and beating face. He's a
oh,
strategist when it comes to
I
uh,
get that. I get
combat.
that. As the god of war in that sense, and
Right,
war is not just bloodlust. That's one of the positive after effects, I guess.
right.
Yeah, that's
And
what
Jack
Jack says.
says it.
I like Khorne because these are as complicated as you want to make it. That is true, and that is the tragedy of nerfing the Wrathmonger Skull Cannons combo. Because if you want to play that, that's first of all, it's like 600 points or something. And if you want to play that way, you should. Don't
So
just cut off a whole dimension of gaming by nerfing that.
yeah, but
That could have been
it was a
an
little too
amazing
good.
arm. No, it wasn't that good. I mean, look what's going on. Look what's going on.
Well,
I wouldn't
compared
say
to
it's bad.
what is going on now, yes.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was a little too. Harrower asks the biggest thing, or says the biggest thing that annoys him is the loss of Battleshock community. So, Harrower, I've actually found that yes, that's annoying because there are
Yeah.
certain lists that really don't function well without the loss of Battleshock community, or with the loss of Battleshock community from the Bloodsecrator. But you
Yeah.
still have the option of using a command point. You can gain command points in your opponent's hero phase through blood type points. There's a lot of ways to do that. Between losing a unit or using blood sacrifice, which is, in my opinion, the best blood blessing in the game.
I've
And
I've been on that wagon for the past few months. I agree.
yeah, and then the other thing you've got is Korn really wants to run like minimum sized units. Right? It's not a big, massive swath of guys style army. You want to gain blood type points. The way you do that is with its dying. Uh, and
Yeah.
B, you've got in this particular list is designed around that where those elite units actually get better because having gigantic elite units is not very effective army. And
No.
yeah,
I like that the Hara says throwing blood tithe away. Is it okay if we go over to the
yeah.
next page to my
Let,
list? I
let's go
want
to
to
the
say something
next
about
list
that.
because I don't think it's throwing blood tithe away because it allows you to double attack during your
Let's
opponent's
get that.
turn as
Take
well
that.
as your turn. So go
Yeah.
ahead and take away Dinos. This is the list you played from the tournament Realm of Geddon.
Realm of Geddon. It's Armageddon, and they call it the Realm of Geddon. That's the tournament that goes on twice a year here in Sweden, in a city outside Gothenburg. And that's what I took with me. It's basically Archaon and the Gore Pilgrims. That's about it. Plus 5 Skull Reapers. And of course, and the Demon Prince. And here's the thing. Here's why people say Archaon is expensive. He's definitely expensive. Wait, sorry, Jack's talking about evocators. They almost seem quaint. Yeah, that's the power creep happening. Anyway, so this one went 4-1, and it only lost to Zinch.
And that was pre FAQ zines, right?
That was one day before the FAQ dropped.
Right.
That
So
was Sunday, and the FAQ dropped Monday, something like that.
you
And
only
that was
lost to the most busted army in the game at the moment.
yeah, it was change host with the flamers. Everything was there, and he did use those things that happened, like the auto charge, the battle shock, even no matter how many had died, stuff like that. So here's the thing about blood tithe, and I would like to. I know that we've talked about this. You love summoning stuff. That's why I have Scar. I love using the blood tithe. I think that is what makes Khorne special. The ability to use blood tithe in any hero phase, yours or the opponent's. That is amazing, and that's where Archaon comes in. Because I think Archaon, yes, he's expensive, but he has a baseline of 20 damage per pilot. That's his baseline. Just the Bloodthirster Greater, nothing else. No other buffs on him involved.
And when you say
If he
baseline, you're
lives,
saying average number
yeah,
of wounds to a unit with a 4-up save.
yeah, 4-up save, 20 wounds. That's it.
Okay.
If it's a hero and you roll double sixes, good for you. That happened against Petrifex, against Nagash. He came over. I charged in. I basically charged in. I attacked, first hit, and then wounding with the Slayer of Kings, 2 sixes. Bye bye Archaon. Bye bye Nagash. That was it. That was epic. The whole battle lasted 8 seconds. That was amazing. But other than that, 20 wounds on a 4-up, and that's it. So in Reapers of Vengeance, that becomes 40 because you have the double pilot. And through the buffs, you can take him up to about 50, 55 maybe. Basically, you reroll wound rolls if you can, either through the Bloodstoker or the Warshrine. You always get the +1, the reroll ones to hit, and you don't really need more because your best hits are hit on 2s, rolling 1s, and the heads hit on 3s.
This isn't.
But
Didn't take the Warshrine in this.
I haven't had the Warshrine because I really didn't think I would need it, but mostly because I hadn't painted it to my my taste. So I said, never mind.
So in this particular case, you're thinking that potentially the Warshrine is overkill.
I'm going to get to that after, but still on this list, the fact that Archaon deals about 50 damage with Killing Frenzy. That's what he does. 50 damage. How many times is Archaon gonna fight in a whole game? 6 maybe? 6 combats?
Yeah.
So in any other army, that would be about 100 damage for Archaon. In Reapers, that's 200 damage.
Right.
And then with 4 Blood Tithe, you fight again in the hero phase. In your opponent's hero phase, even. You're going to do it once, maybe twice. That is 350 damage. Potentially. On average. And on a 4-up, not a 5-up or a 6-up, which you will meet a lot. So he's baller. But here's the thing: at the start of the hero phase, you do blood sacrifice on him, and that gives you a blood type. And on a 4-up, he just shrugs off the mortal wounds, those D3 mortal wounds. And then, even if you got any damage on him, you just heal it because he has another heal D3 wounds per hero phase at the start of hero phase again. So basically, you can always start with extra blood type, and you should use that blood type. It's not about summoning. The fact that you have what do most people do against Archaon? They avoid him. That's what you should do. You say, oh well, he's gonna deal 20 damage here, maybe 20 more damage there, something like that. What do you do when this thing deals more than 50 damage per combat? And you cannot avoid it because he goes 14 and he can move in the hero phase, so that gives him a potential 28 before the charge. You cannot avoid him anymore. And that's what happened. That's what Harris says, summoning Khorne is a trap. I think it's not exactly a trap because it can help you a lot, especially if you have Scar and gives you deep strike. But I think if you learn how to play blood type, your opponent cannot do anything about it.
I think
I
it
want to
really
say
depends on the list,
I want to
though.
mention how I killed Gotrek with Archaon, and that was in Idoneth in turn 3 in High Tide, where Idoneth fight first. That was my finest moment last year. That was about before Christmas, and I moved charged with 3 blood type in the hero phase and then after charging Gotrek, I moved outside of 3. So High Tide went in. He couldn't attack because he wasn't in 3. I had already charged. So I just double piled in, killed him. That is blood type.
And also,
I think that I think that people saying if blood type it should not go away, I think it would be more broken than many things in the game if blood type did not go away. You should know when to use it.
all right, on a side note, though, I do think that while summoning in many lists can be a trap, uh, in a list where you got an 800-point unit, it makes perfect sense to spend blood type points on things like extra command points so you can double attack in the command phase more often and still continue Archaon's abilities. It makes sense to spend command points to allow Archaon to attack in the hero phase, especially if you like overly committed to the command point side of things. When you have an 800-point model, there is nothing you can summon that's going to give you more value than Archaon would by just attacking. And so,
if you instead of having 5 movement phases, you suddenly can have 8 or 9 and not 14 inches before the charge. And instead of having 3 or 4 fights, you can have 7 of them with double pile-in, not in the hero phase, but because you move so much, how can your opponent stop you instead of endless screening? There are other things going on. There is a Daemon Prince who fights in the hero phase, who fights at the start of the combat phase, double piling in with a Sword of Judgment. They have to do something about that as well.
Even if they have tons of screens, like you said, you're double piling in.
Yeah, that's it. You can clean up. In fact, if I was a little bit lucky and had rolled well, I rolled against Tzeentch. I charged in with Archaon because I had moved in the hero phase, so I was able to keep him back away from all the filth. So I moved him 28, and I just needed a good enough charge. I needed a charge of 8 or 9. I rolled a 4, re-rolled it, rolled a 5, and that's what made it. Because if I had made that 8 or 9 inch charge and hopped over the screen, I was right in the Flamer's face. Flamers and Exalted Flamers, and I could have cleaned that up. That game could have gone more against Tzeentch, against Change Host, and the Conflagration. So the thing about Archaon is he's expensive. He's definitely not overcosted, especially in Khorne, in that sense.
Aside from Archaon, I still want to touch on the Slaves to the Darkness Demon Prince. I know he was in the last list, but having him and the Demon Prince in the same list, like double charging your opponent, like he said, in the last list, Slaves to the Darkness Demon Prince always attacks first. But
Yep.
I found that in my games with the Sword of Judgment, if you've given him +1 to hit, he was frequently doing 20, 25 mortal wounds to enemy
Yep.
heroes in
That's
one
true.
round of combat. Like, he is just a hero murdering machine.
My first game with in the tournament was against a KO player. Now he was not that he was a beginner. The other 4 games were all against pros, tournament winners, and all that. That was a beginner game, but I saw what the slaves could do in a frigate full of heroes. My God, that was a massacre. Nothing was left.
Yeah.
Nothing was
You're like, I
left.
was in a game with him where I was just double piling in multiple heroes. I killed 3 heroes in one combat phase with that guy.
But
Once,
it's
once,
actually quite
yeah.
normal. Heroes quite normal for Judgment, Slaves of Darkness, Demon Prince.
Oh my god, that thing is insane.
Yeah.
So
It is
thumbs up on the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince. He's going to be in like
absolutely.
every list that I create for the longest time.
It would be weird not to. So after this tournament, which was against Idoneth, and the Slaves of Darkness basically saved my ass because he moved in with Eels, and he had kind of forgotten that he fights first, and that completely threw his game off. Which I mean, it can happen, but it was the right thing to do. But that thing crushed them away. And the last game was against Nurgle Slaves to Darkness, and I was lucky because this list is 1990, so I got a triumph. So he brought Marauders in. He teleported Marauders in behind Archaon, and they piled in all of them, and they dealt 5 wounds. They dealt 5 wounds on Archaon.
It's fun
Real
that
saves
you
because of that.
mentioned 1990. Like, most of my lists, I want below 2K because in like half your games, you're going to get a triumph. And in many cases, that triumph will flat out win you.
Oh yeah, I agree.
That's what I
Every triumph. Actually, that's the thing. Every single triumph is good. Could you move on to the next? Could you move on to the next list because we can talk about the slave departments now? And Anthony, about Scarbrand, we're going to talk about him because there's quite a few things to tell there. So this is the Backlog list. What happens afterwards? It's basically the same list as before. Bathax has gone away. 10 Blood Reapers have gone away, and the Skull Reapers have gone away. And in it, you bring a Warshrine. Other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. I love the Warshrine in Khorne because it's a priest. So it rerolls its favor of whatever you want in the Skull Altar, which is amazing. You have a rerollable 3-up in a great prayer that has 2 different things for Archaon. So in this case, in this one, you would actually give him the favor of Nurgle because it allows him to reroll all his 3-up wound rolls, which every single thing he has a 3-up wound roll. So he rerolls everything, and then you give him a +1 to save. And if you want to go even further, you give them Bronze Flesh. So basically, he has a 2-up even against -1 rend, which is bonkers. Okay, so you run the Warshrine forward. You can deal judgments, which is basically skulls, which is good to have on a pretty strong priest at the 12 wound 4-up save that you can throw it forward to support Archaon. And then the Marauders are actually quite good. Instead of 10 Blood Reavers, you can have Marauders if you wanna scream, they work. If they attack with the Blood Secretor, they're giving them 3 attacks instead of 2. That is 60 attacks, even without the rend. If you want to fight Marauders, it's kill 1. If those Marauders go from 2019, suddenly they lose rend, which is a pity, but it makes sense.
You're not even worried about it, man, because you can use them as a screen, and you can tell Archaon to make them attack on death.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: like Hara says, this list is too light on battle line. I would drop Gore Pilgrims. You cannot drop Gore Pilgrims because of Sword of Judgment. You need that one.
Sword of Judgment's too good.
Here's one we kind of didn't mention. Here's one thing that we didn't mention. Archaon can make Demon Prince fight on death. So even if you go with the Sword of Judgment in, you fight at the start of the combat phase, you deal dozens of mortal wounds, and there's 1 hero left or whatever, and they finally kill the thing, it's gonna pile in again. So he's a
It's so
nightmare. Even
absurd.
Archaon can pilot, but he will never die, so it doesn't matter. And he also gives you one extra command point, which Khorne loves. You love command points in Khorne, and he gives 2 per round. So that is incredible. As for 2 light on battle line, you really don't need more. With the Slaves of Darkness Prince killing heroes and Archaon dealing more than 50 wounds per turn, you really don't need more.
Yeah, you
That's
gotta if you're gonna run Archaon, you really have to lean on him.
Yeah.
It Archaon turns Khorne into more of an all-in style army. Where
Yeah.
if Archaon dies early and that's all you have
Doesn't
left
matter.
in this list, I mean, you're
You're
gonna
done.
lose anyway.
You're done. How are you going to kill Archaon? That's the question. Especially in this, where you go all in and you give him the +1 save from Nurgle on a 3-up rerollable, and then you can give him reroll wounds. Or if you want, go favor undivided. Reroll hits, reroll wounds, reroll charge. And the thing about it, I'm going to say it again, you do things in the hero phase. In your opponent's hero phase, did it go bad for you? In your opponent's hero phase, just move him back. Retreat him. 14 plus d6, you can run with a retreat, right?
Yeah, you can run. You can run.
14 plus.
Yeah.
There you go. Go away. You're gone. I did that. It worked. And then he just came back because of the blood sacrifice. Start the hero phase on a 4-up rerollable, obviously. Deal D3 mortal wounds on him. He's gonna shrug maybe one of them. He's gonna heal the rest. So you get a free blood type. And a free blood type is nothing to sneeze at, you know?
So wait, before you keep going, Dinos, like one of the trick he's talking about is you can make a charge roll in the hero phase. So Dinos is effectively making a charge roll in the hero phase and then retreating on his movement phase so that he's able to pile into another unit because he charged previously during the turn.
Yeah, you can charge and run. You cannot run and charge, but you can charge and run.
Right.
Because I was always thinking, why would you charge in the hero phase? That was my question always. And that's the answer. You charge and then you retreat. You move outside of 3. And if you want to move 14 and go to something completely different, you can still move 3 inches. You pile in. So you just sit 3.5 out. That's it.
Right. And then you
And
just pile
amazing.
into your enemy
You can bypass
whatever
what?
combat phase.
Yeah, you bypass things like Slanesh. You bypass High Tide on Idoneth. Stuff like that. They cannot pile in. They're not within 3. So it works. And that thing piles in 2 times. And you can do the same thing with the Demon Prince.
The thing I like about this list is I like the Chaos Marauders turning into Blood Warriors. I think that's pretty cool. Just with Archaon's command ability. What I don't like about this list is it's a little bit overkill. Like, Archaon's gonna just about kill anything in one shot. And when you get into the, like, 50, 60 wounds range, all of a sudden you've reached a point where you're, like, overkilling units. And you want to be careful to do...
The Warshrine. The Warshrine is going to keep him alive. That's the thing.
Right. So that does help as well. Would you run this list over the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually like this more.
I think it would work better in the sense that the thing that wins you the game is Archaon and the Prince. So the rest is there to keep objectives, to do stuff like you essentially you turn your game into a boss fight. So if it's a boss fight, make your boss the best it can be.
Yeah.
The one thing that I from here is that you have 3 priests and 1 judgment. I wish there was some way to bring one more judgment in, but you would lose the Marauders. So that was my other thought. Just bring in 10 Bloodletters, which can actually be quite good with a double pile-in. That is 42 attacks with 6s dealing mortal wounds in addition to their damage they have rend. So in that sense, you take out the Marauders, you bring in 10 Bloodletters and the Icon. So I like that one as well. But I think this one's better.
I think the
That's my
Chaos
thing.
Marauders are better because you can allow them to attack back on death with Archaon, and like, let's just face it, like, it's what it was. How many attacks with the Chaos Marauders?
40, 60, 3 per Marauder. That's it. 61 attacks.
61. That's pretty darn good. That's better than 10 Blood Reavers, and you can make them attack
Thing
back
is,
on death. So, and
they cannot fill their charge. That's the
huh?
So if you think if you attack first and there's 20 of them and they have -1 rend, oh boy, that's a lot of damage. On a 4-up, that is more than 25 damage. On a
Right.
4-up.
They almost
So
become another hammer.
yeah,
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 and then on top of that, the ability to attack back on death with Archaon. I don't know. I just think that's a lot scarier than 10 Bloodlet.
I agree. I agree. That's why I said this. I like this list more. I'm not sure if the Warshrine should have blood sacrifice. Not quite sure about that. I would actually go bronze flesh on the Warshrine. So when on round 2 you're in the thick of it with Archaon and the Warshrine, you should have 2 different ways to give him +1 save.
Right.
So you should start with blood sacrifice. If that works, he has +1 save. He's 3-up. Now he's 2-up. You can bypass the favor of Nurgle, which on a 3-up gives him another +1 to save and reroll wounds, which is what you want.
Can you
And you can
take
go undivided.
you take
Yeah,
the favor of Nurgle if you're going to have the Chaos Warshine marked with Khorne?
yeah, you can do all prayers. That is the best thing about the War Shrine.
Oh
You can
wow!
do whichever prayer you want. You don't choose prayers; it's all in the word scroll. And Archaon has all marks. And I took Slaves to Darkness with Archaon about a month and a half ago, and that was fun. And then the FAQ came out, and he loses the keywords essentially.
Right.
So here's the weird thing that they've done. If you're running Slaves to Darkness Archaon and you mark him Khorne, if there is a Fecal and Narwhal in the game, he can no longer run in charge. If you take him in Khorne and there's a Fecal and Narwhal in the game, he can run in charge.
Oh, you're talking about the tree, the Nurgle tree.
Yeah, no longer all gods in Slaves to Darkness, which is supposedly the old gods' allegiance, and he has all gods keywords in Khorne or in Nurgle or in Zinch, whatever you get him in.
So you're saying there's an
Which is
advantage
weird.
to running him outside the Slaves to Darkness Allegiance. That is that he gains all the keywords all the time if he's running him in Khorne. But outside of Khorne, in Slaves to Darkness, you have to pick a keyword every round that he benefits from.
Another round, beginning of the game.
Oh wow, that's not good.
It's stupid. It's
That's such a
stupid.
limitation.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
All
I
right,
don't know why.
but
So good in
you want to
so
move
good in
on to the
Khorne
next
because
list?
yep.
All right. So here we
Let's
go.
do it.
Less mortals, more demons. This is
That's
what you
the
were
one.
talking
Let's
about
play
before, where you added the blood letters.
and the icon. Here's one thing that people totally forget about Reaper's of Vengeance because everybody goes on the double pile-in. Battle shock is not a big thing, but in some armies, it can be like it can change the whole game. And when you kill something as a demon, like Archaon is, D3 units run away, and with the icon, D3 more units run away. So in things against like evocators or sequitors or ogres or whatever, suddenly you have from 2 to 6 extra units running away.
So you've got the Rathax in this list. That's supposed to
I
be the
was thinking
icon?
about either the Rathax or the bleeding icon. If you want to go for the triumph, you can take the icon. If you want the Rathax, always works. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I
And
like.
then this one, you get the Stoker.
Right.
You don't get the Warshrine. You get the Stoker. The Stoker is a very good idea. Like this list is basically could be called "I have no Slaves to Darkness units."
Well, you do.
I want to run Archaon. I have no Slaves to Darkness units. So you
Got,
go with the Blood Stoker that gives
got our
him the
favorite
+3.
Demon Prince.
Yeah,
It's in the name.
yeah. I mean, he's Khorne. In my eyes, he's always been Khorne.
He's always. Yeah, he has. I
Yeah.
think that's the only time you're going to see the Slaves of Darkness Demon Prince at this point is in a corner.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Um, Thing is, with the Bloodstoker, you do this at the start of the movement phase. You give him reroll wounds, Archaon, +3 run, +3 charge. So you can have a thing where you can have, like, you fight in the combat phase, all right? You fight in the combat phase, and then it's time for your opponent to play, so you can move or fight in his combat phase, and then combat begins, and you fight again, and those are double pylons, by the way. And then he double turns you, so you might probably move away again or fight in the hero phase, and again in the combat phase, and then again in your hero phase you can move. So that is 9 different phases with one buff. One buff.
Yeah.
Another
Bloodstoker's
power said your 2 best models are from Slaves to Darkness. I disagree. I don't see him anymore as Slaves to Darkness. He's Khorne through and through. So is the Slave to Darkness, for instance.
I don't know.
I stand by my opinion.
There are uses for Archaon in other armies. I think he's still
I
good.
mean, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But like Slaves to Darkness, Daemon Prince, I think he's effectively.
Yeah.
Bloodstoker's good though, especially when you were talking about that that charge during the hero phase, and then you can retreat and then pile in with Archaon, but you get +3-inch movement to both the charge. Oh no,
And
no, you don't, because you would have to use it at the beginning of the hero phase. Bloodstoker is during.
I think you charge twice. You
Uh,
can charge in the hero phase, but no, you have to retreat afterwards. So no.
Yeah,
But
you
still,
would have
that
to do
run
it
you can
afterward.
run. You can run the +2. That is not a little thing. And this is why I don't rate the Fury Thirster this high with Archaon. Harris says, "How do you get retreat and pile in?" Here's how. In your hero phase, you can use the blood tithe, the 3 blood tithe thing that says you can make a move, and if you're within 12, you can charge. So you charge a thing that is, let's say, 9 inches away with the +3 from the Bloodstoker or whatever. You just charge something, and that was your hero phase. So then the start of the hero phase, in fact. Then your movement comes in. You can move. That's a retreat. So let's say you run 14 plus d6, you move 16 inches away, and you stop outside of 3 of something completely different, another unit that you want to kill. So you ran 16 inches away, and you sit outside of 3. And then combat begins. Now, the rules say you can pile in if you either charged or you're within 3. You have charged in this round, so you can actually pile in 3 towards the nearest enemy model. You don't have to go base to base. You can stay half an inch away. So if you stop at 3.5 inches, you're within half an inch and you can fight. So you can charge in the hero phase. And that's the charge and run. Not a lot of people use that. So basically, that's how it works. And it's great. And there's not too many things your opponent can do. So it's incredible. Also, you can do it in orcs, in Iron Jaws, with Mighty Destroyers.
Yeah, it's a really niche move, and it doesn't happen very often. But when you get it off, you just.
Oh yeah, I've done it only once in a tournament where I was able to do it, but killing Gotrek with that thing, that was man,
Big.
man, that was amazing.
That's one thing
The
your list
charge
can
and
do
run.
with Archaon. Like a lot of his attacks just like do single points of damage, and you attack a lot with Archaon, so you're able to. Say, I've seen people try to move in the charge. That is correct. Yes, you have to charge in the hero phase, because if you don't charge, you're unable to pile in combat phase. But
Wait, what do you mean?
the Harrower,
Move in the hero phase and then charge? Yeah, you can. Why not?
you can. No, he's
No,
saying
of course you can.
you've seen people try to move in the hero phase. So if you moved without charging and then
Yeah.
you, I don't know, somehow retreat, it wouldn't count.
No.
No,
No. If you're in combat, you can only retreat away. If you're not in combat, you can charge in the start of the hero phase and then move, basically retreat away. You can actually retreat exactly 3 inches out of the thing you've charged.
Right.
That thing cannot fight in combat phase. So you get free. So you fight with your, let's say you do that. Yeah, if you're in close combat and disengage, you cannot charge again. That's true.
That's true, but
So in that case,
you get
do it. Why would you do it anyway?
you get 14
Why
inches
would
of
you do
movement
it
plus a
anyway?
d6 and a
Yeah.
and you can turn that d6 into a 6 with a command point. So really, you get 20 inches of movement if you want it with Archaon.
Yeah.
And what it allows you to do is you hit their screen that they're trying to keep you away from their boss. You hit their screen with the initial charge, and then you have a guaranteed 20 inches after that, where you can just fly right over their screen into their units in the back if you'd like, and potentially kill.
Yeah, and the thing about Archaon and what works with him now in Slaves of Darkness 2.0 is that he gives extra command points at the beginning of the round,
Right.
which is great. It's amazing.
Especially against like Bone Reapers.
So yeah, if you don't have Warshrine, the Bloodthirster is great. Bloodthirster, I rate him very high, actually.
Yeah, he's decent. Although he doesn't work in that instance where like you don't get his bonus 3 when you utilize the hero phase charge, because it has to happen at the beginning.
Yeah, not in that one, but in the next round, you can, like, if you buff him at the beginning of your first movement phase, then the blood starts flowing and you get the blood tithe until your next movement phase, not hero phase, next movement phase, it's on. It works.
Right, you can reroll.
Yeah, basically. And that is amazing because he wounds on a 3-up. And if you allow him to reroll wounds, oh boy, he's great. He will deal on average, he's going to kill Gotrek on average. One thing, if Gotrek's player says he's going to go total defense, reroll save rolls in 1, you cannot kill him.
Right.
Nothing will kill him there. If he doesn't do that, Archaon will kill him on average. Like if he does reroll once, you can still kill him, but you have to be quite lucky because it's not average. It's on the spectrum, you know, it's on the high end.
All right, let's move to the next list. This is
What do we got?
based off of the new book.
Yeah. I got this morning. Actually, here in Sweden, it's what time is it? It's almost 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So I went to the city and bought it this morning. Wrath of the Ever Chosen, and there's a couple of slaughter hosts. We should mention there are some people saying you can take this in Khorne. You can have Reapers of Vengeance and the Baleful Lords, the 5 Bloodthirster thing.
Yeah, you can't.
No, you can't. No,
it is a slaughter host. For the purposes of rules, the Baleful Lord is a slaughter host. So you're taking that, and then on top of that, you're taking the Khorne allegiance with Tyrants of Blood.
Yeah, of course. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take Tyrants of Blood, and here's what basically they do: you get to run and charge, which, if you've played against Bloodthirsters, you know that's insane.
Well, in the first version of, in the last book, you would have run Council of Blood with the Wrath of Khornethirster, would have given this ability to individual Bloodthirsters. At that time, Council of Blood was an excellent list. And this just guarantees all your guys run in charge. So you don't need your Wrath of Khornethirster from the last version of the book anymore.
No.
And
so
you're just able to get there.
Here's Scarbrand, by the way. Here's Scarbrand. Since we, I think it was the Howard or Anthony that asked about Scarbrand. Scarbrand is amazing. Okay, he is great, and people say he's not so fast. So in this case, you would get the Baleful Lords slaughter host. They can run and charge. They get +1 to charge also. And that's why the Wrathmongers are there, because I think it would be fun to just run the Wrathmongers behind Scarbrand.
I don't think they'll
cheerleaders are cheering you on. Yeah, they would have to run a lot, but they have to be within 8, and that's not that tough. And he will fight in the second round. He's gonna fight in the second round, so they can run a little further as well.
I think he's gonna make it round 1, man. He's a 10-inch move with D6 +1.
you know. But why would you fight him in the first round? You have to wait for the round 2, and then he gets mad.
I'm just saying, like, you could get him there. But you're right. Like, why would you do that? Well, I mean, I think there's a couple reasons. Uh, the biggest reason is when you're playing a monsters list, you want as many threats in front of your opponent as possible because it forces them to split their attacks between units, and a lot of times it causes them to fail to kill a unit. So
Yeah.
you get all these guys into combat, all 5 at the same time, and you're able to just run down the list, hit all of them, pile in 6 inches, hit more guys, and
Mhm.
potentially Scarbrand may not even get into the combat depending on what happens.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah, I mean, that's in this sense with 5 Bloodthirsters, you don't need the Reapers of Vengeance. You don't really need the double pile-in.
I,
In normal Reapers of Vengeance, you would have 4 Bloodthirsters fighting, and the last one would fight twice. In this one, you have actually 5 Bloodthirsters fighting once.
right. You have more
So, yeah.
wounds worth of bloodthirst.
Yeah. Also, here's what I was thinking. Let me find the Khorne book. In this one, it would actually be quite interesting to give one of your Bloodthirsters that artifact that allows you to fight at the start of the combat phase.
On the 4
You know,
plus.
uh, was it Kartoth? Yes, on a 4-up fight at the start of the combat phase. So if you actually pull that up 4 plus off, you fight at the start of the combat phase, and then all the Thirsters fight because of Tyrants.
Right. Yeah, I think that's
So that's
pretty
not,
good.
yeah, that's not actually, it's quite a good idea to use.
In this list,
Okay.
I might just replace the Wrathmongers for for either Fleshhounds, like get rid of the
Yeah,
Reavers and
yeah,
throw Fleshhounds in.
yeah. I agree.
Um,
I agree with that as well. Like you can actually even bring the Bloodsecrator if you want.
or just put a Bloodsecrator in there and just sprint him up the field because I think it's going to be easier to keep them within range of a Bloodsecrator than it will to be
Sure,
keep them within range of the Wrathmongers.
sure. And I dare your opponent to fight to attack the Bloodsecrator, while there's 5 Bloodthirsters
I
on
don't
the
think
on
they're
the.
gonna worry about the Bloodsecrator. I mean,
No,
Bloodsecrators. I think people they look at him like these like huge threat that's offering this massive bonus, and the bonus is decent. I don't want to turn it down, but
mhm,
it's not what's going to win you. Case like an individual Bloodthirster is providing more value, I think, than the
yeah.
Bloodsecrator would.
You
Um,
know,
except in the
let
case
me
of
tell you.
Scarbrand.
Let me tell you about the Bloodsecrator. In Gore Pilgrims, when you have a 24-inch radius, the fact that you make your opponent reroll spells is incredible.
That yeah, that's
So
a
here's what
huge
happened
bonus.
against Petrifex. I played against Nagash and Petrifex on round 2 against a very good player. And the thing is, I played and I brought the skulls, and they were right within 12 of Nagash, both of them. And I moved the Bloodsecrator forward, so he was within 24. So here's what happened with Archaon, with Nagash. He managed to bring in the spell portal. He did that, and then nothing else worked. So he was casting with a +0 because his passive +3 was -2 from the skulls and -1 from the skull altar. It was the build of the battle plan. It was Place of Arcane Power. So even if he wanted to stay out, he wouldn't. He has to win the game. But the thing is, he could not make a single spell. And the cherry on the cake was he rolled an 8 on Arcane Bolt, and he forgot how to cast Arcane Bolt. And that was hilarious. That was amazing. So the fact that you can make your opponent reroll spells and give him minuses, and that 8 with the skulls being there, that could ruin your day. Against Zinch, I failed the 3+, the rerollable 3+ on the first round, so I could not bring the skulls in. Second round, when I did that, he he didn't dare to cast any spells. Can you imagine being Zinch and not dare to cast spells?
I mean, it's pretty good.
So here's the catch. he brought the changeling. I think that what's the guy with the moon head? Is it the Herald of Zinch?
Had
Anyway,
like the scrolls.
he teleported that thing with the Balin behind me and did a spell on me. And I said, nope, 2 blood tithe, auto dispel. And he's like, okay, I'm done. He didn't cast any other spells.
Well, it's just a greater risk.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't play spells against pilgrims.
I think that overall, uh, we saw the Hexforger skulls and the Bloodthirster every list that we ran aside from the Blood Feast, and I
Yeah.
think the combination of Hex skulls with Bloodthirster are really what make that unit.
Bring on the spellcasters. I don't mind.
Yeah. Like every other fight you participate in is gonna have wizards in it, and like especially against Skaven. I played a game against Skaven with that first list I showed off in Golden Brew, and the guy he was running like the grimiest Skaven list you can run with all the Storm Fiends and the Plague Wind launchers and tons and tons and tons of Skaven slaves and or not slaves but oh I forget lots of little rats, and you've got your wizards, and they're shooting warp lightning vortexes at you and all sorts of craziness. Anyway, guy, I don't even know what he had in terms. Well, I remember what he had, sort of. He had the trifecta, warp lightning, endless spell, and he had the bombardier and or something like that. Anyway, he casts a spell, and all of his guys are wizards.
Mm-hmm.
He rolls an 8 on Arcane Ball, forgets how to cast Arcane Ball, goes to mortal wound damage, kills one wizard off, rolls a 6, goes to the next wizard, kills that one off, and then kills the last one off too. Kills all 3 of his wizards just because he cast Arcane Ball. And the guy was so tilted after that happened that he damn near gave up. And I was like, no, dude,
Yeah.
just keep playing. Just keep playing. At this point, look, you don't throw in the towel. I know it's bad, but like it's a dice game. And it's kind of funny that it happened because it's like Pinky in the Brain. The Skaven were like, I don't care. We're used to blowing ourselves up anyway. But this time it was like worst case scenario, and they blew up all of the wizards, and all he had left was like Screaming Bell. And it took 5 wounds. That's what he had. And Bellicor befuddled his Storm Fiends, so they couldn't do anything for a full round, and my whole army had moved up. Basically, all he had was Skaven slaves at the point, and some Jezzails.
Yeah.
Yes, clan rats, and some Jezzails. And my whole army was pushed forward, so he had the option of either coming at me with his clan rats that were already engaged by my Daemon Prince and Bellicor, so he couldn't even do that. He was just stuck.
I get it. You said earlier about Zinch not being a fun game, and I'm thinking that Khorne can actually give you fun games a lot. And that Zinch versus Khorne game that I played on Sunday morning, it was the only 2 players in the tournament that had gone 3-0 so far. And I'm playing against my favorite player. Like it's like you're playing football and you go against some guy that you've been watching play.
Yeah.
And Mikael, who is captain of the Swedish team on Six Nations, for example, and he won Krigslundan, I think it was a couple of years ago or a year ago with Order Draconis of everything.
Yeah, I remember that.
And people were gathering around to watch, and they're saying those people, me and him, we're not talking. We're so concentrated in the game. And there was a crowd around like 7-8 people sitting and watching the game. And it was a super fun game. I mean, I went to it. I like the night before. I told him, "Oh, great, we're playing. Okay, just can I take a later sleep, and I can just come over for a game 5 for a joke." But after that, I was thinking, you know what, this is going to be a very good experience because there's no pressure. I was playing the filthiest thing that existed against a player that I know is not going to make mistakes. So I knew I was going to lose that. So I said, I'm going to play it at my best. And I wish I had that game on a battle report. I really wish I had a way to save that game with a camera or something.
Was it fun
Because
playing, or was it kind of just like an obliteration?
thing is, if I had made that charge with Archaon and basically clean up his flamers and the exalted flamer, which he could with double pylon, those 50 damage we talked about, that was against the 4-up. Flamers do not have 4-up.
Right.
And pre-FAQ, like post-FAQ, he wouldn't be able to save his screen, those horrors. He would not be able to do that. So we would have a game in our hands. Failing that charge, he basically put his flamers against Archaon, and they killed him barely, but they did. And that was the end of the game. And that was the only game where Archaon basically died, because this thing does not die. And because he doesn't die, people avoid him, which is probably the best thing to do. Avoid Archaon, but you cannot avoid him in Khorne, where he can move in your hero phase
Okay, but back to what you were
and
saying.
double pilot.
Was it a fun? Would you, if you weren't playing your favorite player, if you weren't like fanboying, you were fanboying a little bit here. Yeah, I get to play my celebrity player. Like that's part of the enjoyment here. If you weren't playing that guy,
I remember what he was saying. I'm sweating here.
yeah,
I said I've never been more proud than you saying I'm sweating here with Tzeentch against Archaon and Khorne, because he's a Khorne player, by the way. He loves his Khorne.
but did Tzeentch provide a fun experience? You're comparing Khorne to Tzeentch.
Let me think. Post FAQ, that could work.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Pre FAQ, it was sort of a lost battle. So I actually was very happy to see how the army can screen, even though there's not too many bodies. There's 20 Blood Reavers.
Right.
You can still screen pretty well with them. So
Yeah.
I like the game. I wouldn't want to play against this thing every day, but because of skulls and because of Blood Secretor, the spells are not that hard. Horrors do die. Yeah, deal 20 wounds. You can do that now. I'm not saying it's not bent. It is bent. What are we talking about? Of course, it's going to be a negative experience for many people. But I think that good players will be able to tackle them.
Right.
To a point, of course, to a point. It's not a loss nowadays.
Well,
I feel Aaron.
It's the
Mikael
same.
still believes that auto win against melee armies. That's what he thinks. So
Who thinks what's an auto
I guess
win?
I would. I'm sorry.
Thinks what's an auto win against melee armies?
This player, the Tzeentch player, he still feels that it's an auto win against melee armies.
Post FAQ.
So post FAQ, yeah.
Well, I mean, if he was sweating against you, your army it's a melee army.
The thing about Archaon, when you can move 28 inches before charging, how can you call that a melee army?
Because you're getting into melee.
Yeah, but your Daemon Prince can move 24 inches before charging, and he fights first. So technically, it's not shooting, but it's suddenly there. You know what I mean?
Every army has some kind of like movement mechanic that allows them to push forward, or if they don't, if they're slow, they have some kind of resiliency mechanic that keeps them alive. So, like a good example of that is Fire Slayers, for example. They're very resilient, but they're slow. So they need to weather the storm before they get to their destination. And even in that case, you still have the ability to run and charge if you use that rune, and they do have 1 unit of deep strike, which is quite helpful because they can, you can tie your enemy down while the rest of your army gets there. Khorne, we have our own tricks. We've got some fast units. We can use blood tithe points to move across the board. We have Scar Bloodwrath who can teleport in, and you can summon dudes. I mean,
you can summon things as well. Yeah.
We have our own. We have our own tricks. If he's talking about your melee. I mean, what is he talking about? Maw tribes. I think Maw tribes is the only army I can think of without significant uh tricks that is like
I would
mostly
say
melee.
there's Nurgle, there is, I guess you could even say orcs. Yeah, they move. Yeah, they're fast. They're super fast, but they're still melee in that sense.
Yeah, the
So
only
I get what you're
armies
saying.
I can.
saying.
Daughters of Cain is like mostly a melee army. I don't know. Just because you move fast doesn't mean that like you're not a melee. Like the Harler said.
No, no. I'm with you with this one. I'm just saying that being able to move fast, like Slanesh. How can Slanesh win against Zinj now?
Fast.
They move super fast, but your screenings with horrors, they are basically invulnerable. And
The
it's a
thing about
flamer. You're one away from obliteration.
the thing about Slanesh is I don't think they do enough damage in melee for Zinch to care as much. It's almost like Zinch mostly operates outside of the combat phase.
Yeah.
So
May
Slanesh
I
gets
say
there and then you melt them.
something? You know what? I was thinking yesterday. The Gone Summoner, you can actually ally him in Khorne. He's a Slaves of Darkness army.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Never chosen. So technically, you can bring those 50 wounds of horrors with you. That is 260 points. Don't forget that the Bloodsecrator's thing, rerolling spells works against you as well.
Right.
So
I experience that all the time when I'm playing Bellicor. Is like you roll and you have to make sure you're both outside the Hexscourger skulls and the the Bloodscrater, but mostly outside the Hexscourger skulls because you don't want to suffer deep.
you know, same with me with Archaon, when I actually embrace that, I'm running towards my opponent while the skulls are up, and I'm going for eights because
Oh,
it deals mortal wounds to everything, and he has a 4-up shrug.
right. So another
So
trick,
he's
guys.
going long.
If you're
Yeah.
running Archaon and you have your Hexscourger skulls out, run to the wizards and try to roll an 8 when you're casting spells because you're going to do deep wounds to every wizard within 12 inches of the caster.
Yeah.
That's
That's
pretty
that
good.
him. And so you can at the start of a hero phase, you can move him. You do the blood sacrifice, you get the blood tithe, you heal him if you want, you move him, you obviously you will heal him. You move him forward, you do the 2 spells, maybe you get an 8. If you do get an 8, D6 more wounds all around, 4-up shrug for you. So you don't care for a couple of wounds. He almost never how do you call that? The scale when it goes down, he didn't degrade basically.
Right.
Except from the game against Nurgle in Slaves to Darkness, because he had the Plague Touched Warband. And those 5 wounds that those Marauders did became 10 when he fought back and killed everything. But then again, in the next 2 hero phases, he went down to 4 again or something because of the heal, which
Okay.
is great.
Let's.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that earlier. Let's move to a list of units that have
So,
performed better than we thought. I should put a we in there. Fix that.
yeah.
I'll fix it later. So the first unit we want to talk about is Scarbrand. I'll say some stuff about Scarbrand first. Scarbrand is not just good in the list. And that was just all the lists we mentioned are just for fun example lists of lists that we've tried or are about to try or have had success with. So all the ones that Dinos mentioned with Archaon, he's had success with. The first list I showed you guys, I had a lot of success with in the event. Um, yes, we were talking about Baleful Lords. We think it's viable. It's more of a for fun style of battalion, or not battalion, but slaughterhouse. Uh,
Yep.
but it's absolutely viable and it's very fun. Anyway,
Mhm.
Scarbrand is good in a lot of lists. A lot of people are running him with Wrathmongers and with the uh, Bloodsecrator, and they're just effectively protecting Scarbrand until he gets to combat, and then double
Yep.
piling him in. And I've noticed he does upwards of, I don't know, 50, 60 mortal wounds. He does more damage than
He's gonna kill everything.
Oh, he just
pretty much.
murders everything. The problem is he's not very resilient, and that's why he costs so much less than Archaon. But he does more damage than Archaon.
True. True. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Scarbrand. In Baleful Lords, the fact that he can run and charge is really good.
Yep.
But you bring your Fury Thirster is Scarbrand's best friend. That piling away from 6, you just
Yes.
run him. Just run him, stay 6 out of that, and then you will pile in. And maybe if you want, you can pile in twice if there's a reason, because whatever you point him at, he's going to erase. Nothing will be left afterwards.
Yeah, Scarbrand is excellent. You just have to play him tactfully.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Gotta be tactical. Ugh.
Yep.
Words didn't come. But whatever. I think you
No.
guys get the point. He does a ton of damage. Super powerful, especially in Reapers of Vengeance where you can double pile in. He's like he's just a giant hammer. Can't fly though.
Yeah.
Very important.
No.
And
Yeah, no.
he's
Which
not
is okay.
super fast. You're gonna need to like kind of screen a little bit and then get him there. And once he's in there, you're gonna mega damage.
I played a game with against Tyrants of Blood and Murder Host, by the way, and I got double. I got the doubled, so he got the double,
Yeah.
and that was Mikael again. By the way, that was Mikael. That was that guy, and with Khorne, and there is nothing you can do against it. He dealt 60 wounds on the first combat, and the next one he dealt even more because of Scarbrand. So if you get doubled against that, you're done.
Yeah, it's whatever he touches is
And yeah, whatever he touches is dead. There is nothing you cannot come back from that. No matter how strong your screens are or whatever, those bloodthirsters are going to clean up everything you throw at them. So that is a way to play it, and you can have obviously you get your hounds to do the unbinding stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good. I only have 3 bloodthirsters myself only, but um, I can see that as a very viable way to play the game with the Baleful Lords. In this sense, they basically made a slaughter host just for bloodthirsters to not get the Reapers. You don't need the Reapers now because of how Tyrants of Blood works. You go 4 plus 1 attack, 5 attacks, and basically you got 4 in the last one will double pile in, so that's 5 attacks. In Baleful Lords, you have 5 bloodthirsters. They will attack 5 times. That's the same thing.
all right. Let's
Yep.
let's move on to the
What
next
about
thing.
the elites? The elite infantry, Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers.
Elite
I love those
imagery.
guys. I was the happiest person on earth if Skull Reapers had gone a little bit down in the FAQ. They didn't because people know that they're good. They are perfect. They don't get battle shock. They have a 4-up. They will clean hordes quite easily. You get 25 attacks with them. Don't forget the vicious mutation. I always forget the vicious mutation. I'm so happy to roll for 6s. I always forget the vicious mutation to use it. That's 25 rerollable attacks going for 6s, dealing mortal wounds, and then dealing some more damage. No rend, but it's still fine. They will do the job. Excellent counterattackers, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think Skull Reapers are great. I think my favorite part about that unit is that they are they're independently good. So they don't require a blood secretor to be great. They don't require
Hmm.
being buffed by anything to be great. You can send them into combat without worrying about them being within some kind of like aura, or you just go in and just start killing things with them. And I think that's where their biggest benefit is. There are other units like we were talking about the difference between Skull Reapers and Chosen. And the biggest
Yeah.
thing is, yes, you can certainly do more damage with Chosen if buff them to high heaven. But the
You know,
problem
let
with
me
that,
about Chosen.
what's up?
Yeah, go on. I will remind me to tell you about Chosen once you're done.
Okay, so you can certainly buff Chosen to high heaven and make them great. But the problem with the Chosen is they only have Um,
Yeah.
and they need the buffs, so they have to be within range of all of these different force multipliers to really be more effective than the Skull Reapers, and
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
Yep. Here's the thing about Chosen, because I had that discussion with a couple people asking me on Reddit or whatever. If you play Khorne, bring Skull Reapers. If you play Slaves to Darkness and you mark them Khorne, Chosen are good. Chosen are really good. In Khorne, mark Slaves to Darkness. Don't bring them in Khorne itself. You always bring Skull Reapers.
Yeah.
The math works basically. If you want to bring in a Blood Secretor in Slaves of Darkness Khorne, that's always it's a great idea to have a Blood Secretor there. A great idea. It's gonna mess up your spells, but if you run him forward, you can pull that off.
All right, so the next unit we wanted to talk about was our Wrathmongers. I'll bring them up on the screen. Uh,
Yep.
for a while, Wrathmongers were looked at like they're kind of a lame unit because they were nerfed post FAQ, so they couldn't buff attacks, which well, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Um,
Sad.
there's our
You know, you
Wrathmongers.
can you can use it with the Wrath of Khorne. They actually made the Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster quite good. Quite they upped him a lot, but that was gone. But it was the I mean I haven't been more disappointed in the whole thing rather than the skull cannons. I thought it would give you would make an artillery army, which I guess it's not Khorne, but nothing about Khorne and how they play is essentially Khorne
Right.
in that sense.
So
That's what I feel. I'm very okay with that. I'm very happy to play this army. It's my first army. I've had like 8 or 9 of them throughout. Still, I that my favorite army to play.
so Wrathmongers initially were ultra powerful because they buffed the skull cannons as well as the Wrath of Cornthirster, but now
Yeah,
uh, they don't, and they received a lot of hate. But let's face it, 15 wounds at 140 points isn't so bad, even though it's a 5+ save. Um, it's still 3 wounds per model. They attack a whole hell of a lot. It's 3s and 3s on a charge. It's 4s and 3s. Um, without the charge, but it's 26 attacks independently um, at neg 1 rend 1 damage, which is another great thing about this unit is they don't really worry about being within range of anything. The other
no,
great thing about them is that even if a couple die, they have a bravery of 7. They don't really care. Most of the time,
no,
they're not going to be impacted by battle shock if you run them in unit 5. The other great thing
yeah,
about them is with run them alongside Scar Bloodwrath, he can make them attack back on death, so they get mega value. Um, these guys buff the rest of your army. But the biggest
yeah.
thing is that they do mortal wounds on death. So
Oh yeah,
uh, it's typical that you're doing mortal wounds. They do mortal wounds on a 1+ if there are two or more models in the enemy unit. Um,
yeah.
so you're guaranteed to do mortal wounds on a larger unit.
The thing about I feel that Wrathmongers play as well as Kamikaze, basically.
Oh yeah,
You get a scary thing of your opponent. It could be a Gristlegore. It could be a Mega Boss. It could be anything. You charge them in, make him hurt as much as they can, and when they inevitably fight back and they are going to kill them, that's 140 of your points. They will probably deal about 5 or 6 or even 8 mortal wounds. And because they have rend, they will probably have dealt some damage. You can clean up. You can clean up your opponent's scary thing with
yeah.
your Wrathmongers. And before you use them for that, they will have buffed your army with extra attacks.
Especially with Scar
Wrathmongers,
Bloodwrath. Yeah,
yeah.
they definitely
Oh,
trade
of course,
favorably.
Scar. Like if you get Scar, you should always bring Wrathmongers.
I don't
And
know about that.
and
I would say it's
and
the
the
reverse. If you're bringing Wrathmongers, you probably want to consider Scarborough.
Yeah. I He doesn't need to be close to them, does he?
12 inches, so it's
Okay.
it's it's pretty far actually, and they move at the same rate, and he can deep strike, so he's damn near
Yeah.
always in range.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like them. I really like a lot Wrathmongers. Thing is, because I built mine as Skull Reapers, I usually try to keep my stuff the way you see them. But now, like we said at the beginning of the video, I'm trying not to buy new stuff. I'm this close to finding Wrathmongers. They're really cool unit to play, and you can make them sing in the hands of an experienced player. That's how I feel.
yeah, I think Wrathmongers are much better than I had anticipated.
Don't
After,
forget
especially after running them in a tournament, they're very
range
reliable source of
two,
damage.
right? Range two.
Yeah. Oh, well, then the other aspect of this is like they die, they deal damage, and they get you a blood tithe point. So, whether you're summoning or you're trying to make something happen in your opponent's hero phase or your whatever your goal is, they do their damage and then
Yep.
they contribute back to your army. So
Perfect.
I say thumbs up. I think they're a great unit. I was very happy with their performance in my tournament.
Here's a question. I would like to hear your thoughts on that. What
Yeah.
I have the part with the hammers and the chains. I have a lot of Stormcast. Would you see a kit bash on them?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, Chosen are very good. Like Stormcast is a very good choice for Chosen, and I'm thinking, why not Wrathmongers? Could be quite fun. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Yeah, I think the classic Wrathmonger sculpt is still better, but whatever. You
Oh,
do what you got to do.
yep.
All right,
Agreed.
you said Skull Taker. I agree. I think Skull Taker is really good, but like, why don't you talk about Skull Taker?
All right. The thing about Skull Taker is that he is a cheaper Demon Prince. I feel
Okay.
like he will do the same thing. You want him as an assassin. He's not very fast, but he will get there. And basically, you keep him on the side, you keep him on the back, and you will move him forward either with Blood Tithe. That's going to give you a 10-inch move, which if you keep him on the side outside of combat, that is probably enough before the charge. That is 3 attacks. Thinking with Reapers, if you have Skull Taker and you didn't get Reapers, I don't know what you're doing. That is about 8 attacks on 3s, rerolling everything when you attack heroes, and you fish for 6s, and that is 3 mortal wounds in addition to damage. So they're hunting heroes. At the very least, they're going to take a big chunk out of one of your opponent's big thing.
Right.
And what I feel about Skulltaker is that people don't really rate him a lot, and that's his thing. When you will meet him when you will see him in a game, you will probably look at the Bloodthirsters of your opponent, stuff like that, and Skulltaker is going to hurt you. That's what I think. That damage 3 with 8 attacks, that's a lot.
Well, he's only 120 points, so
Yeah, it's
he's
nothing.
it's nothing. Yeah, he's like half the cost of the Demon Prince, a little more.
Yeah.
And I think the Demon Prince is a much better option. But you're right. Like everything else in your army is really strong. The Skull Taker isn't quite as distracting. He comes in and then like takes out a big chunk of models, and he's better
Yeah.
than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with
of
that
course.
assessment. I can see why you'd run him. The only thing that concerns me in Khorne is Khorne is very hero heavy, and if you don't have room for this guy, I can't recommend him. But he's very good, especially in like
Well,
Murder Host.
yeah. Against a typical 4-up, here's the thing. Against a typical 4-up hero, he's going to deal about 14 damage on average.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Before the 50%. 3-up reroll fails against a 5-up, 8 attack with 3 damage. That's either 12 or 15 damage. You don't
Yeah.
see that, and that's not even with the mortal wounds, right? And you cannot count mortal wounds on the on Druchinet right now. Just 12 to 15 mortal wounds. Suddenly your opponent is going to be like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, people don't
You
respect
know?
him. He's a bit inconspicuous.
Yeah, he's as big as a bloodletter.
Right.
So quite good. If you what I wanted to tell you about my list earlier with Archaon is that it does not allow you to make mistakes, and that is both for you and your opponent. My Doneth opponent made that mistake with the Demon Prince, gone. My Nurgle opponent, which is one of my favorite players to play against, I think he's played more Beast of Chaos games than I've played games. He's been playing for 20 years or something. Great gentleman. He won sportsmanship. Love him. Anyway, he brought his Nurgle Marauders forward against Archaon. He took the gamble, and when he was playing, he said, "Every bone in my body says don't do it, but I'm going to do it." And I'm thinking, if you make mistakes against this list, you're going to lose, my friend. And that was game 5, and we both had 3 wins and 1 loss, and that's why I went for the 4-1. You cannot allow your opponent to make mistakes against Khorne, and if you let the Skull Taker play, that is 12 to 15 damage on your head before mortal wounds. One more time.
All right. I'm gonna move to the next
Yeah.
one. Jump to Karanak. Now, I chose Karanak.
Tell me.
I still think Karanak's good. Post.
You know what? I was thinking Baleful
Oh.
Lord's list with those 140 points of Wrathmongers. I thought that could actually be Karnak.
There we go.
You know?
There he is. Karanak is like a baby Bloodthirster with the ability. He's like a miniaturized version of the Wrath of Khorne Thirst. Really, what it comes down to. He's got decent damage potential, but he's 140 points, so better. But that's not really where his strengths are. The ability to unbind spells is great. You can unbind endless spells and end up dealing D3 mortal wounds back to enemy wizards. And then once per game, you get to summon 5 Fleshhounds if you're within range of the quarry. The quarry is hard to get to. Don't expect to get it. But if you do, cool. I have found him to be good, but the more I play him, the more I'm like, we'll just. Unlike for whatever reason, Skulltaker is not that threatening, and I agree with you. Like, people look at him and they dismiss him, but Karanak, for whatever reason, is not inconspicuous. It's like people go out of their way to kill him, even though he's kind of small. But I think he's just big enough that people want to get rid of him.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing about Karanak. He's a demon, right? That means double piling. You always look this through that spectrum. So you see his attacks. That is 24 attacks. 24 separate attacks with the Bloodsecrator and the double piling.
Right. Well, the other aspect of this is he's not only a demon, he's the only character, I think, that can use command abilities without being a leader.
Yeah, he's a hero. He doesn't take a leader spot. They're not hero spots, they're leader spots. He's a hero. He can do all the command things. And if you see him now rerolling fails on wounds and hits on his quarry, let's see how would that look with that damage. That would give him about 15 damage.
Oh yeah, he's solid.
On double piling. It's solid. 15 damage.
And he's pretty fast too.
Have no one random, the other one. It is good.
Yeah. Good. And he does about as much damage as so he does about as much damage as the Skull Taker, and he's a little faster. So you're paying a little bit more just because you've got a faster unit, you've got a lot more attacks. He's probably better against non-hero units, and he unbinds spells, which is the thing.
Yeah, like you would if you give him Killing Frenzy, that 14 damage becomes 18 or 19 just because of that. How many attacks there are?
Right, and I remember when he was originally released, he was a bit too expensive. I think he was 180 because I think they were.
I think it was 180.
They were forcing you to pay for the Fleshhounds along with him. a certain extent, it was like it just didn't make a lot of sense. But now I think he's good enough to where like you're not paying for the summoning that he could potentially give you, and that's just a slight
Yeah,
bonus. If you get it, great. If you don't, I wouldn't go for it if it puts you out of position in a game.
true.
It's not gonna be the end of the world if he doesn't summon his flesh hounds. He's pretty good by himself.
Okay.
Let's move to the Lord of Khorne the Juggernaut. You like him. I think he's
The thing is, about the
okay.
Lord, he's quite fast. First of all,
Yeah.
okay, and you're gonna play him in the Gore Tide. Definitely, you're gonna play him in the Gore Tide. So in the Gore Tide, you have Hew the Foe as a general trait. So that's +1 damage. And you're gonna take the what's the name of the Gore Cleaver. You're gonna get the Gore Cleaver, and Gore Cleaver basically you improve the rend by 1. Okay, so that Wrathforged Axe goes from -1 rend to -2 rend.
Yeah.
And if you get a wound roll of 6, that turns double damage. So that gives you a 2d3 plus 2 against something. So that is at least 4 damage and
It would be
potentially
flat
8.
6 because every time the Wrathax damage characteristic changes to
Does it?
yeah. Yep, I got it on the screen.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. That is 8 damage.
Right. Yeah, no,
8
he's
damage
pretty
on
good.
attack. Or
He's also very
he's going
tanky.
to. Yeah, it's a 3-up. Give him a blood bronze flesh. Suddenly 2-up. He has a 5-up shrug against um, against mortal wounds. So he is actually probably the best mortal general that there is.
I I disagree.
I think. Tell me.
I think Korgus Call is kind of like secret tech that needs to be more utilized.
Yeah, I here's how I'm changing what I said. For new players, the Lord of Khorne Juggernaut is a very special unit. If you are a bit more experienced, Korgus Cull is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
So we can just move on to from Lord of Khorne. Well, it's always Gore-Tide, right? We're talking about Gore-Tide now. And if you
Well,
play
we're just talking
Gore-Tide,
about units that we think have performed better than we thought they would.
yeah,
So here's
you will
Korgus
see
Call.
that if on the Lord of Khorne, you will see that 8 damage because if you get mortals, you will have the Bloodstoker with you, and you reroll wounds, so you can actually fish for 6s on your wound rolls.
So I love Korgus Call. The more I think about him, because the more
Yep.
experienced I get with this game, the more I realize how uh, I don't know how versatile he is.
Yep.
So the big thing about Chorus Call is he's got this Akshi's Bane, Akish Bane. I don't know how to pronounce it anymore.
Actually,
But anyway, he's eligible to pile in within 8 inches instead of 3, and he can move an extra
how
5.
amazing is that?
So this
How
means that
amazing is that?
he can run guaranteed 11 inches turn 1, so he can cross the board turn 1 and pile in 8 inches into enemy unit, and just start attacking right off the rip. He rerolls all
Yep.
hit rolls, is great, and he
Yeah.
can unbind. And if any wounds were inflicted, of course, on a 5+, the enemy model is
Gone. Yep.
so. That's also very powerful, especially with a unit that piles in 8 inches. You can
Basically,
go wherever you want.
your opponent always has a 19-inch hand of dust and a 5-up.
Yeah.
Threat range of 19 inches, just buying his time. Again, I'm going to mention move in the hero phase, your Khorne, use that blood tithe. If you move in the hero phase, you can do that charge thing we talked about, and then you run him away. Suddenly, that you can actually, if you like, let's think about it. You have the Bloodstoker and 3 blood tithe. That gives you a 9 inches minimum charge. No, actually 10 inches because you can roll two twos, right? So 5 plus 3 from the Bloodstoker plus 2 from Rolling Snake Eyes. That is 10 inches in the hero phase. But it's probably going to be 7 plus 3, so 15 inches. So you've charged, and then you can retreat, and you can retreat 11, right? Because
Yeah.
you've charged, you can pile in. That is 8 inches.
I think that's why this guy is so good. You can basically attack whoever you want at any time with him.
Yeah.
Um,
And on a 5 up, that model is gone. I don't care if you're Archaon, if you're Nagash, whatever you are, it's gone. And your opponent will always be thinking about that.
yeah, there's definitely a bit
Yeah.
of like a mind game going on with Karga Skull. I want to add him to a list at some point because
Yeah.
Karga Skull, I have him fully painted, um, just like the picture here on the top right corner of the scroll.
I
And
have
I just
one
like to take him to
replica of
combat.
that. Yeah.
All
I like
right.
it. I really like. If he was a demon, that would be the best thing ever.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Be
yeah.
bonkers if he was at the. I hope he like
I,
in the next version or whatever. I hope he ascends to become a demon prince. Because
yeah. How did they change? By the way, how did they change his command ability? It's only for the rest, right? Reroll, he rolls a 1. He doesn't care. He just uses it.
yeah, I don't know. I think they updated
Yeah.
it in the
I was
epic.
Grizzlemaw is a flesh hound, so that's a demon, right?
Um,
They
he is a
are
flesh out. He
putting
is
him
a
in the
demon, but it has another aspect of Gorgas Call's War Scroll that I don't like is um it specifies that if you've done any damage with axe, you get to
Yep.
make the 5+. I think it should just
Yeah.
be that if he does any damage to the unit, I don't think that they should worry about the damage being dealt with the axe. Because
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, which wounds are from the axe? I'm gonna try and save those on 6+s. It gets a little stupid. The rules get stupid with the whole like damage dealt with the axe. I think it's just like if this model did damage, if this
Yeah.
unit does damage to an enemy unit during the combat phase,
Thing is,
do the thing. Make
thing
it
is,
simple.
here's the thing. With 4 attacks on 3 up rerolling fails and 3 up wound against the 5 up because of rend, the chance of dealing damage is, according to this, 87%.
Right, it's pretty high. But
It's pretty high.
they should just simplify the rules. If it's already that high, like just say if he does damage.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And if you stoke him with the Bloodstoker, that 13% failure chance turns into 5% against the 4.
All right, let's
If
go
you
to
want to see
Scar.
against the 3 up, that would be, again, it goes back to 13%. So even an ethereal opponent has more than once out of 2 of being hurt, like 46% chance of not being hurt with a 3 up ethereal rerolling once. Even that, 50 get the 5 up.
Yeah, the only time you're worrying about that though is like if someone has the ethereal amulet. Because
Yeah.
for the most part, Night Haunt's heroes are kind of behind the scenes. They're not in combat.
You know what I think about that? If you don't really need the Akshi's Bane to kill Nighthaunt. If you get them, that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah,
You
you don't
only
worry
need
about it then.
post.
You're mostly worrying about like the coach or
Yeah.
some other arbitrary mega monster if you're playing Night Haunt. But anyway, let's go to Scar Blood Wrath.
Yeah.
This guy's a
Slightly,
house.
yeah.
I've talked about him before. I think he's like one of the best units, if not potentially, in my opinion, for sheer utility alone, I think he's the best unit.
I know he's your favorite. I know he's your favorite unit, right?
Yeah.
No,
He single-handedly gives us Deep Strike.
yeah, which is unexpected to say the least, because we know, we're breathing Khorne day in, day out, but you're gonna play against players who haven't met Scar.
Yeah.
And it's a mind taxing game. You are going to forget about it. even if you know about him, you're going to forget about him. You know, you're going to have your opponent and you're going to tell them, by the way, I have Scarblood Wrath. That's what happens when he dies on a 8 up. Yeah, and they go, yeah, I know, fine. You know?
Yeah, even our own player base doesn't really respect him.
Yeah. He costs 100 points, you know?
So cheap. And
You
he'll
start with, you do blood sacrifice on him, you deal damage, and then you send him forward. He's gonna hit the screen, he's gonna kill a lot, then he's gonna die back, and then suddenly he's behind them.
Oh yeah, and
And
if he
they're
hits
here,
first,
they're
if he hits
human
first
as
on
well,
like
right?
a big mega unit of clan rats or whatever, he's probably gonna do around 10 damage.
Yeah. How could you make him? How would you change him? What I would do is give him a bonus to return if he dies on melee or something like that. You know, that 8 up.
I wouldn't change him. I think he's so powerful that like if you changed him and made him better, he'd have to cost more.
I guess.
Yeah, if I wanted him to change, uh I don't. I can't think of anything that I would change in
Damage
unit.
2. That's what I would do. Damage 2. Double damage. I don't know. I don't care. Double damage.
Double damage when he comes
Yeah, man.
back. Make him even
Yeah,
better.
no, damage 2. Yeah, he should have had
I
damage 2.
I think this guy is good enough. He is the embodiment of this army. This is exactly what Khorne should be. Guys that want to go
I
into combat and they get bonuses for being brave.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going with very Slaneshi now. I'm going for excess. No, he's fine. He's fine.
I think he's great.
I love him.
We have been talking about this guy.
Yeah, we'll be aware. It has, you know, who's good. He's even better than good.
This
So
Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince is probably, it's gone from being a okay, this is mediocre to one of the best units in the entire game. Easily.
Yep.
Uh
12 and sometimes 24-inch movement. Fights first, double pile in. You give him the best artifact that there is. He gets +1 to charge. You can give him Killing Frenzy to make that Sword of Judgment pop on 4s. And on 6s, that is 1d6 +2, by the way, on the sword. And of course, you get the sword because you want the attacks. You want the extra attacks. So on 6s, it's going to deal d6 +2 mortal wounds. And the sequence will end. And the Bloodlick Ground saved me against Petrifex because that Mortar Guard just couldn't charge. I gave him, well, the only thing he did, he took care of the Mortar Guard. My opponent could not bring them in because he halves run, which means you have the dice roll, not the movement itself. But that charge is great. And what I was thinking is that the Nurgle Prince was so out of bounds filthy. Having said all that, after Zinch came out, I was like, yeah, that was the problem, the Nurgle Prince. Anyway, he was so filthy that nobody took took a look at the Khorne one. So now we do have the best Demon Prince.
yeah, he was, that Nurgle Demon Prince was so powerful and filthy that like they just completely overlooked the Khorne Demon Prince, who quite frankly, he is very good. I don't want to say he's anywhere near as powerful as the Nurgle one was, but
Oh,
his command ability is just absurd. It would single handedly uh, win me games because my opponent, it just erases their whole turn if they're playing a melee army and I'm at the right distance.
and you know, he's no longer a monster, so he gets Lookout Sir, and he has a 3-up. So if you put him on a terrain feature, he's a 2-up. So that's what you do. He's basically your assassin. Your first move that you're going to do is you're going to run him 12 plus whatever on a terrain feature, keep him away from the enemy, but close enough so that his command point goes off.
Yep.
So everything within 18 halves their charge. And then when it's your turn again, that 12 that you did plus the run is probably you've done half the board if you play on that side. And then that 12 plus, you're going to get in. You will be able to do that charge.
Yeah, you just
and
keep him right in the middle of your army.
you're going to assassinate your opponent's back. And if you do that and he dies, you don't care. He did his thing.
Yeah.
He kills like 2 or 3 heroes, which he can in a single combat, in a single combat phase. Because let's not forget, he fights at the start of the combat phase. That means he's gonna fight, and then the combat begins, and you fight again.
Right. Oh yeah,
Some
you fight
people say,
twice.
"Okay, so now it's my turn." No, no, no. That was the start of the combat phase. Combat phase begins now.
Yeah, he's savage.
And your turn. You play first.
I I can't see. He's so good. I can't see building a list without him right now.
I agree. I agree.
It's
I
it's
don't
this unit is
see.
just
I haven't made a
bonkers.
single list. I haven't made a single list with where he was not there. And because I played again without Archaon, which I haven't had for a while, and I was thinking, oh my god, so many points. I don't know what to even bring in. I played against Hollow Heart with Wrath of Khorne, Bloodthirster, and the Demon Prince was there, and he was MVP. The Demon and Scar Bloodwrath was there, by the way, and he was the MVP. Moved in the back, killed all the heroes, and that was that. That was game.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually the typical game for me too. Sometimes I just leave him right in the front of the army with his command ability on because I know my
Yeah.
opponent can only charge him with heroes. Like, and
Yeah.
I just don't care that he's out in the middle of nowhere. The Rascals are up. They're probably not going to cast any spells on him. He's right up in the middle. Any charges they make are going to be halved. It's like, okay, go
Yeah.
ahead, come at him, and then he's going to attack first and double pile in and probably kill whatever you have.
Yeah.
It is
You know,
insanely powerful.
yeah. Adventures in the Wizard says he only fights twice if you Reapers of Vengeance him. And that's what we talked about in the beginning, that Reapers of Vengeance is too good not to get,
Yeah,
too good not to take.
in the current format, it's almost like Reapers of Vengeance are bust at this. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any
Or not
sense to
that,
use anything
the
else right
rest.
now.
It's the rest. It's not bust. It's competitive. I'm not sure about the rest, if the rest is competitive. Yeah.
Yes. So like the way that the format works right now, the current meta basically dictates what's good. And
Yeah.
currently, the current meta says you need to pile in twice to get enough value out of your dude, or else you'll yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, it
Um.
is.
Let's speaking of
You play. Go on, go on.
what's up?
Yeah, I was thinking that, where do you play? You're gonna play a tournament. You're gonna meet tournament level lists. You're gonna play in your game club. In my game club, we have competitive players. Casual competitive is my favorite type of game. It's basically what you would call a tournament preparation game, taken down a notch, so you can try stuff. And it's really nice. Casual, but with competitive players who know the game.
Right.
And I don't see Khorne not using Reapers, because I don't know what they were thinking. Now, I was waiting for Wrath of the Everchosen to come out, and we still don't get any Rend. Like, I'm thinking, how can Khorne not get any Rend? We got a new slaughter host, the Flayed, and that gives plus to saves. I mean, why?
What exactly does it do again? The flayed.
The Flayed basically says if you kill a hero or a monster, you get +1 save on the unit that you killed, that hero or monster.
Yeah,
So
it's a little
basically, you
restrictive.
have Bloodforged. What is it called? +1 to your saves, and you ignore one Rend. But don't you want your units to die as well? With
You
Khorne?
do, but like
If there was a
no.
slaughterhouse that gave you Rend, I would seriously think it. I would seriously consider it. If there was a way to get Rend in Khorne, which makes total sense. You
Yeah.
don't. You don't.
All right, let's skip to Archaon, and you are the one that's going to talk about Archaon.
I'm thinking that, are we talking on this from the spectrum of Khorne or in general? I would like to say something about Dark Prophecy.
Go ahead.
People say
You are the one with experience with Archaon, so I want to
yeah.
let you speak.
All right. I've played Archaon for now dozens of games. Okay. I have had him in a tournament. How many games I played with him in a tournament? About 15 now, 18 actually. No, sorry. There was not 5. 11 games with Archaon in his new form. He has died twice. Once by my mistake, I threw him in Mortec Guard. That was a big mistake. That was my first meeting with Petrifex, and he died there.
Everyone.
And then he died by the Flamers of Change Host. Right? So in Khorne, I've only had 2 games where I actually lost the game. Once against Pestilence, where there are 180 rats on the table, or something like that. There were too many, and that was a lot of objectives on the table. So it was basically an auto loss. And the other one was against Zinch a week ago. I've used him a lot. He's always there. People don't take Archaon because he's too expensive, and the game, the way it's played, is that you have some combat phases, you have 5 movements. If you get to turn 5, it's not that usual, is it? Anyway, Khorne allows you to attack 3 times that. So if you think that Archaon deals about 20 damage, that is 40 points per damage, which is horrible, right? 40 points per damage is horrible because our art boys deal like 16 or something. But if you take that down with Reapers, that is 20 points per damage.
So you're comparing his damage per point against a 4-up save without any buffs.
Yeah, always.
So without buffs, you're saying Archaon's pretty inefficient in terms of damage, but when you add him to Reapers of Vengeance, being able to attack twice doubles the efficiency, and then being able to attack in your opponent's hero phase triples that efficiency.
Pretty much. Because if you're going to use that attack in the hero phase of your opponent, that is for crippling effect.
Right.
You're going to use that to ruin him. It's not something you expect. It's basically cheating, if you think about it.
Well, that's what Blood Tithe is.
You have a thing that is going to deal tremendous amounts of damage. Right? And now he self-heals. He just unbinds endless spells within 18 in the hero phase. He lowers bravery, and again, Reapers of Vengeance plus D3 unit models. Not bad. He ignores 6s against him. When you hit him on 6s, you have to reroll, which is amazing. He no longer ignores wounds. He has a 4-up mortal wound shrug, and he has a spell shrug, right? I think he has a spell shrug. Yeah. He has a 4-up spell shrug.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you run down each ability and tell us what you think of it? So like it sounds like you're talking about the Armor of Morcar.
Yeah, the Armor of Morcar basically says that every time you get a mortal wound on him on a 4-up, you shrug it. That's why you can use his against Blood Sacrifice. Most of the times he's not going to get hurt. That's why you do Blood Sacrifice. You still get the Blood type.
Right.
And it's at the start of the hero phase, so you have the chance to do the Blood Tithe, heal up, and then leave with the Blood Tithe. And the thing about Khorne's buffs is that they are rerollable. They cannot be unbound with the prayers. So you can easily give him that reroll wounds, either auto cast with the Bloodstoker, or with a 3-up rerollable from the Warshrine. So suddenly those 20 damage per combat become more than 50. Right? So that is a whole damn lot. 50 on a 4-up means you're going to clean every screen known to Warhammer. He's going to kill Gotrek on average. He's going to kill an ethereal zombie dragon. I'm not sure. I've never sat down and count if he can actually kill a great unclean one on the strongest build that there is. Not quite sure yet. But I'm not sure if even that can withstand his attacks.
I guess it would really depend on what you. Because quite frankly, you can just roll 2 6s and be over anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Of course. If you have a Stoker, you can re-roll those. You can re-roll those.
You can re-roll wound rolls built in?
14. I'm sorry?
You can re-roll those built in.
No, you have to have either the Warshrine, so 3-up rerollable from the Skull Altar,
Gotcha.
or the Bloodthirster auto 3-up auto cast from the. It's an ability.
All right.
It's not a spell.
There just seems like there's a
So
lot going on with this model. Like you've got your Crown of
yeah,
Domination, which seems really good. Uh,
yeah,
there's a lot of things that don't get talked about.
yeah.
So Crown of
I mean,
Domination,
like +2 bravery, it can keep some of your screens alive if you want them,
right?
because that bravery 6 becomes bravery 8,
Yep.
so it's actually fine.
And then -2 bravery is
And
also a huge deal in a world where uh, a lot of things don't have a way to deal with bravery outside of spending a command point. So -2 bravery is actually pretty cool.
yeah, -2 bravery, D3 running away. That's great, you know. And then the Eye of Tyrion is reroll hit rolls with 6, and you know how many things deal weird stuff on sixes, bad stuff on you. Like you play against what? The Crystal Gore General? Isn't that a 6 on the Maw?
Yeah, so like Eye of Shiran seems like a very powerful way of dealing with.
Yeah, and it's not just melee; it's everything. It's just attack. Reroll hit rolls for 6 for attacks.
Right. So then you've got the Ever
Other than that,
Chosen.
yeah. So you have the Ever Chosen, which is a 4-up spell shrug, which is very good. 4-up.
But on top of that, you've
And
also got the Armor of Morcar. So you're not only ignoring the spell on a 4-up, if it does fail, you get additional 4-ups to block the damage.
on 6, you give it back.
Right. So it's like
So
he's super resilient against spells.
it happened in the against the Nurgle Slaves to Darkness, where when they would ping those mortal wounds, you could actually give them back or shrug them. And then we have obviously the Slayer of Kings,
Yep.
which has taken quite a few skulls in my time, including a Nighthaunt game where I basically took Linder and Kurdros just with those 2 6s re-rolling.
In
And
the
then the
same
last
game?
one, it wasn't a gash. It was the fun thing that I said, that was happening. There was like 8 more games going around, and we're like, attention, everyone, it's Nagash versus Archaon. And then we play, and 8 seconds later, we're like, okay, it's done. And yeah, and that's Nagash and Petrifex, by the way. Let that be mentioned.
So Slayer of Kings seems like a little bit more lucky to me, but you can certainly mitigate some of that luck with Zinch, with Destiny Dice.
Yeah,
In this case,
yeah,
we're talking about Khorne, so that's not a thing, but it's a bonus.
yeah. They errated it. They made him a little less strong after the errata because it was in the same phase. So if you double piled in, you had the same, like your first attack, you get a 6, and you have that on the side, and you're like, you know what, I already got a 6, and then you pile in again, and if you do get 6s, another 6 in the wound, it pinged. But obviously that it doesn't really make sense. You have to have the 2 6s together, but you can reroll wounds in Khorne. Like
Right.
we said,
So
you can.
the initial pre FAQ, you're saying that he could score a 6 on the first attack with Reapers of Vengeance, and then in your second pile in, if you rolled another 6 to wound, you get the Slayer of Kings effect.
Yep, because it used to be in the same phase.
Right. That makes sense.
They changed it now. Yeah, of course they changed it, but it's still 5 attacks. Over all of them are going to hit because it's 2 upper rolling ones.
Right.
So basically, you have wounds, 5 dice to roll wounds, and you can re-roll those if you have that buff, which you should. I think that's why it's a Buffkion list, because this is not just your hammer. This is your, I don't know.
Your hammer, your anvil. I mean, it's 800 points your list. It's everything. This is your whole list is designed around supporting this one model.
And the Daemon Prince on the side. So those 2
Correct.
units are 1,010 points. It's more than half your army.
Yeah,
That's
half.
You have Dorgar, and you can deal D3 mortal wounds at the start of your hero phase if you want on a 3-up. You can heal, which we already said that's going to give you free blood type basically, or you can pick one endless spell within 18 and dispel it, which
You
is
do that
also
often?
really good. I'm sorry?
You do the spell eater very often? It doesn't seem like one that I would. I would probably be healing myself
Uh,
most of the time.
Unbinding things. I unbound a spell portal in a game. That was that. Not more than that, I think,
Right.
because that guy had forgotten it. So I just unbound it and it was gone.
So this is one of the bigger ones, the
Okay.
Warlord without equal. How has that helped you in
The
games?
Warlord without equal is by far the best ability that you get in Khorne because you do want those command points.
Yeah.
So to be 2 instead of 1 is it's amazing.
Right. That's
It's
what I
not.
thought.
He's a wizard, so you can cast 2 spells. Now, like we said, because you were gonna get him in Gore Pilgrims, it's really tough to pull those off because you get -2 from the skulls, -1 from the altar. You have to reroll, and you have quite a big base, so you're probably not gonna do it. But you can always bring him in and go for the 8 with the skulls, as we mentioned before.
Right.
And then we have the command abilities where you get to pile in, and when something dies, you can pile in. You can do it on your Marauders. You can do it on your Demon Prince. You can do it on himself
That's
if
what I
he
was going to ask
dies.
you. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and so it's actually really good. It doesn't work on your Khorne units. It works on your Slaves of Darkness, but Marauders are really good, and
Now,
even the Warshrine actually as well. The
if I
Warshrine has
don't know how
kind
this works,
of
but say for example, you use this command ability to allow you to uh, pile in on death. Can you then spend a command ability after piling in on death, pile in a second time before he's taken off the field?
you have to use the pile in twice at the start of the combat phase.
Right.
So
Could you do that?
good question. Let me see what the Reapers of Vengeance says. Basically, Reapers of Vengeance says you can pile in twice. You choose that at the start of the combat phase. So let's say you did that, and let me see. Every After the unit has fought in the combat phase for the first time, if it is within 3, it can immediately make a pile in move. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I would say that works then. So you could
And you
use
do that on your Demon Prince. If for some reason something else fought first,
right.
you're going to use your Demon Prince. You're going to pile in twice.
I like that.
If your Demon Prince fights, he's going to pile in twice an attack, and then he's going to pile in a third time. And I don't know what's going to be left alive after that. So those 20 wounds are not really 20 wounds if you think about it, because he heals. Most of your opponents are not going to fight him. Like you have to play Archaon right. Okay. Yes, you move him forward, but you have to be careful. You should always bring blood tithe, and no, you should always bring blood sacrifice because you do need the blood tithe. He's a demon, so he can summon things. He's Nurgle, so he can run and charge, and nothing that your opponent has. Like if you fight against Nurgle, it's sad for your opponent because everything reroll wound rolls of 6 against him, +1 to wound rolls because he's Nurgle, +2 to his movement because he's Nurgle. The wheel works for you,
Right.
basically. It's almost sad to play against Nurgle in Khorne, because in Slaves to Darkness, none of those things work.
Right.
So he
But
has a
you
3-up. I would definitely say bring the Warshrine with the Bronze Flesh, give him a +2 save on a 3-up, and watch your opponents throw their hands up because they're like, okay, I'm gonna avoid him. No, you can't. You cannot avoid him. He was gonna move a lot. He's gonna fight twice. He's gonna move in your fight in your here face. Whatever you want to be, he's gonna be in your face.
so
So
as
he is.
as far as the War Shrine goes, do you see any other reason to take the War Shrine outside of Archaon? I personally don't. I just
If you
think that
bring Marauder, yeah, he's gonna give him another a 6+ save against damage.
no, what I'm asking is like a lot of people seem to think the War Shrine is really good in Khorne, and
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that the War Shrine is good if you're taking Archaon because you've got so many points
Okay.
invested in a Slaves
All
to
right.
Darkness unit.
Okay. Here's the thing. The Warshrine is a totem, so it's gonna give +1 to your Blood Reavers,
Right.
+1 attack. The Warshrine is a priest, a Khorne priest, so it's going to reroll within 8 of the Skull Altar.
Yeah.
The Warshrine can do judgments, and you're going to run this thing forward because it's not a Slaughter Priest. It's not going to die to a Swift Breeze. It's going to be forward. It does deal damage. It brings with it not only prayer, but the blessings as well. So I don't see why would you not use it in Khorne, especially if you have Marauders and Reavers, even Reavers. Like you just take them up to a 3 attacks per Reaver. That's not bad.
But why wouldn't you just want like another Slaughter Priest and add another Judgment?
Here's
Slaughter
why
Priest.
you do not have the leader slots.
Okay, so you're saying when you run out of leader slots, it might be worth it.
Yeah, if you don't bring the Warshrine, you should bring the Stoker.
So I think that there are very limited case scenarios where you want to bring in the Chaos War now, because I think that the units have to be Slaves to Darkness mortal units in
Reavers,
the prayer.
And it's going to be itself, Archaon, and the Reavers. I'm sorry, not the Reavers, sorry, the Marauders. So you can make your Marauders reroll hits and wounds on 60 attacks with -1 rend, and they will charge in. They are definitely going to hit first. You can make Archaon +1, +2 save and reroll wounds, or reroll hits, wounds, and charges. And that is wholly within 18 inches, right? It's not little, wholly within 18 inches. That's where the favor works, and it's rerollable because of the Skull Altar on a 3-up.
Oh no, it's actually really good if you've got Slaves to Darkness units in your list.
Yeah, but you do. You have the yeah, that's what I said. This list has not too many things, but everything works. So those 20 Marauders are gonna do the job. That's what I'm thinking. That's how I'm thinking. And
you think just the fact that you have those Marauders in the list is enough to justify the
yeah. I get Warshrine because of Archaon. I want to have with the Warshrine because of Archaon, and because you can get now a 3rd blessing, and you can run this thing forward without being afraid of that it's gonna auto die from something and throw the skulls in their face.
Yeah, see, from my perspective, I look at this list, on the buff Keon list, and I have to fix that's the list you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
Remove Archaon. And so you like the Chaos Warshrine in here. I agree with you. I think this list is great with the Warshrine because it's got Archaon in it. But if you take Archaon out of this list and you put some other miscellaneous units in there, I think all of a sudden Warshrine is just cares. Like, why would I want it?
Okay, over there. I'll tell you why. Are you still running Reapers of Vengeance? Because if you want, you can always bring more 2 blocks to 40 and the Warshrine there. In fact, I'm going to bring another Warshrine with 2 blocks of 40 Marauders, because you're going to have the Skull Altar, and those 80 Marauders are having -1 with 3 attacks each, and anyone who has played against them with 2 attacks each knows how stupidly good they are. Now you have 3 up, and the Warshrine reroll hits and wounds. Reroll hits and wounds on 120 attacks, and they will not fail their charge, and they can be killing frenzied by the Warshrine.
So how are you rerolling
hits and wounds? It's a 3-up prayer
right now.
Undivided. It's called Favor Undivided.
Okay, so you would be giving them the favor of Khorne and the favor of.
No, it's called Favor of Undivided. That's why it's. Let me see if I can find the Warshrine. Yeah, Favor of Chaos. It says you can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until your next hero phase. If that unit has the undivided keyword, you can reroll charge. They don't have the undivided Marauders, but they don't need it because they cannot fail charges.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
so
So in
you
a
have them
it's okay. That makes a lot of
born,
sense then. So in the
and they're
case
born.
you would remove the Blood
So
Warriors then, or no, you wouldn't have Archaon. You'd have a bunch of
you wouldn't
Chaos
have
Marauders that reroll
to-
hit and wound rolls all the time.
that's a completely different list. But if you want to play Khorne with Marauders and the Warshrine, I say they are actually quite good. If you have a Chaos Lord there and they will pile in again afterwards, forget about it. In fact, I'm getting quite interested. I'm having a game soon. I'm gonna try it. I think I'm gonna try it. I
See,
want to see what happens.
I'm thinking Chaos Marauders would probably be a lot better in that style of list you're talking about.
I agree. I really, really like them. But are you talking like Nurgle or Slaves of Darkness Nurgle?
Nurgle Nurgle with the Blades of Putrefaction and the tree.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. I brought two Runbringer wizards. Both of them had Blades of Putrefaction,
Right.
and I had two blocks of 20 and one block of 40. That block of 40 ate two Gristlegore dragons. So, bye bye, you know.
Yeah, I
But
still don't see a reason to. I just throwing Chaos Warshrines into a list without Archaon. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me in Khorne. It just seems like you're better off running some other style of.
I'm gonna try it. You know why? Because there's that thing that gives you there's a blessing that gives you battle shock immunity. That's not a bad idea. On the Warshrine. I'm still talking about Khorne, right? Not Slaves of Darkness Khorne. Khorne.
Right. No, I
80
know.
water Khorne with the Warshrine. That is a lot.
I don't see one
And
that
they're
gives
battle
you
line, right?
that. Only if you're in it. Only Slanesh ones get the more battle shock.
What? Only?
Yeah, you have to have a Slanesh unit.
No, no, no. I'm talking about the blessing. The
Yeah.
blessing of Khorne that nobody ever gets.
Oh, the okay. I see what you're talking about. Um the yeah, the blood blessing.
Yeah, one of those. Because if you have two slot, we're talking Gore Pilgrims, right?
Yes, you would have two slaughter priests and two war shrines. So you'd have to have
Or
four. You'd have
one,
four blood
right?
blessings.
Probably four blood blessings, and maybe one war shrine is enough if you get the pilgrims. But even if you do that, that is 800 points and 600 points, 140, and then 340. That is a lot of points.
And I'm almost thinking that if you
So
ran something like that, you'd
definitely,
want all the endless.
yeah, true, true.
All right.
Anyway, I think Marauders, like to end this, the Slaves to Darkness book has given a amazing Archaon. I think he was already really good. Now he's just amazing. He's expensive, but if you play well and if you're an experienced player and you play well, your opponent is gonna make mistakes, and those mistakes are gonna be paid dearly. That's what happened in the tournament. That's what, like, every mistake my opponent made, they paid dearly. And if that charge, like I say, if that charge had worked against Zeech, maybe that would be a different game. So I don't see if I don't know if Archaon is for everyone. That's what I'm gonna say.
I
But
think
I'm saying
Archeon.
if they say he's too expensive, I'm saying he's not overcosted.
I think you
That's what I'm
sold
saying.
me on Archeon. I will. Once I get through my backlog, I may just.
Yeah.
Looks like he's fun to paint, and
Yeah.
he's
Super fun to paint, and you love having him on the table.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I feel bad if I play Khorne, I don't bring him anymore. That's how I feel now.
I like playing different lists every time. For me,
I
like
agree. I
Archeon
get
would
that.
just be another type of list for me to.
True. True.
But I need to call this quits. I need to go do some other things with my day.
Sure thing.
It was a pleasure having you here again. Talk about Khorne,
Always.
and
Yeah.
I'm sure that
I
many.
just doing this again after the next FAQ around August. we'll see where that will be.
Yeah, as far as this army goes, it is disappointing to see some of like the other parts of the army go out of date, like the other slaughterhouse. Like it's basically you're playing competitive at this. You almost have to play Reaper's Vengeance or the Baleful Lords.
Yeah,
I think you can play the Baleful Lords. I think they're good. And
yeah,
that's kind of a disappointment to me. I think that shows a little bit of deterioration. It's to be expected, but like it's been a great run with this book so far.
true.
I think that this army's still in a super healthy state.
I agree.
Uh,
I'm gonna say what I said. If you're a new player, you're gonna love playing Khorne against new players. If you're an experienced player, you're gonna love playing Khorne against experienced players. I don't know what else you would want from an army.
yeah, I think it's probably, in my opinion, it's the best designed army in the whole game. I know some people just say, "Oh, it's not true to lore."
Mhm. No, no. To that I agree. Like they took that facet of war, like the strategy part.
Yeah,
But you know what? Until they make a new one, I'm okay. Like I said, I play a lot of armies. I see myself always coming back to Khorne.
yeah,
So if you love strategizing, if you love tactics, if you love winning games because you outplayed your opponent,
yeah, definitely.
Khorne is a very good idea.
I it's gonna get murdered for this. I think uh, if you're not playing 40 guard, Petrifex is on army.
What OBR?
Yeah, OVR. It's
Very,
I
very good.
think they're very fun strategic army to play. If you're not playing the 40 guard list, I think the 40 guard list is extremely free.
I would
Um,
say the same about Slaves to Darkness, by the way. That's what I was very happy about. I think that Slaves to Darkness is definitely not beginner friendly, but you can actually start playing slaves with mono mark. And as you get more experienced and you feel more comfortable, you can start playing different marks, different heroes.
yeah,
So that's another good army to. Plus, you have so many toys you can blend with,
well,
right?
Slaves has a lot of room to, like, as the
Yeah.
game matures.
And
Every
they
faction
will
gets its own
only
unique
get
units.
cheaper. I feel they will only get cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's quite good.
Let's here's hope for GHB 2019. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right.
Thank you,
Talk to you
sir.
later. Nice.
Have a great day.
Yeah, always a
Thanks
good
for the talk.
always a good.
Yeah,
All right.
have a good one.
Thank you. Talk to you guys later.